enough noise. That's it. All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamayim. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, we'll pick us up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you. But you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. And if another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had he believed Moses, he would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Numbers chapter 7, verse 84. Shalom, Jay. This is the dedication of the altar. In the day that when it was anointed by the princes of Yasharal, 12 chargers of silver, 12 silver bowls, 12 spoons of gold. Each charger of silver, 130, each bowl 70, all the silver vessels, 2,400 after the shekel of the sanctuary. The golden spoons full of incense, 10 apiece, after the shekel of the sanctuary, all gold of the spoons, and 120. All the oxen for the burnt offering, 12 bullocks, the rams 12, the lambs of the first year 12 with their meat offering. The kid of the goats for a sin offering 12. And all the oxen of the sacrifice of the peace offerings were 24 bullocks. The rams 60, the he-goats 60, the lambs of the first year 60. This, the dedication of the altar after it was anointed. And when Moses was going to the tabernacle of the congregation to speak with him, then he heard the voice of one speaking unto him from off the mercy seat that was upon the ark of the testimony from between the two cherubims, and he spake unto him. Let's get that definition for dedication. We'll go ahead and run that with the 2 Chronicles 6 dedication on general principles. Now, when you have dedication here, of course, this is a word that everybody knows, Hanukkah or Hanukkah, Kot, Noon, Kaf, and Hay. Dedication, consecration, initiation, a consecration, a dedicating. Of course, you know consecration is same as Kadash, being set apart. 2 Chronicles chapter 6. It's 2 Chronicles 7, my apology. Second Chronicles 7 and 1. Now, when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from Shamayim and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of Yahuwah filled the house. The priest could not enter into the house of Yahuwah because the steam of Yahuwah had filled the house. And when the sons of Yasharal saw how the fire came down and the esteem of Yahuwah upon the house, they bowed themselves with their faces to the ground upon the pavement and worshiped. Praise Yahuwah, for he good, for his mercy forever. The kings and all the people offered sacrifices before Yahuwah. And Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 oxen, 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the house of Elohim. And the priests waited on their offices, the Levites also with the instruments of music of Yahuwah, which David the king had made to praise Yahuwah because his mercy forever. And when David praised by their ministry, and the priests sounded the trumpets before them, and all Yasharal stood, moreover, Solomon hollowed the middle of the court that was before the house of Yahuwah. Shalom, Sister Jim. And the fat of the peace offerings, because the brazen altar which Solomon had made was not able to receive the burnt offerings and the meat offerings and the fat. Also at that time, Solomon kept the feast 7 days, and all Yasharal with him, a very great congregation, from the entering in of Hamath unto the river of Mishraim. And in the 8th day, they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days and the feast 7 days. And on the 24th third day of the 7th month, he sent the people away into their tents. Shalom, Brother Robert. Glad and merry in heart for the goodness that Yahuwah has showed unto David and to Solomon and to Yasharal, his people. So do me a favor, I need the definition of dedicated in verse 5, the definition of ministry in verse 6, the definition of dedication in verse 9. Shlomi. I see why she said that junk was nasty, because that junk's horrible.
Dedicated is kanak, to train, dedicate, to inaugurate, to train up, to initiate or discipline.
Same thing we just read in Numbers. Ministry.
Ministry is yad.
That's going to be your arm, your right hand.
And dedication in verse 9 is Hanukkah again.
So, go to John 10:22. I know a lot of people think that, and of course we talked about this before, what you see in John 10 is what you read in Maccabees, but that's not necessarily the case. And of course, it's because people see winter and they automatically think about, because quote unquote Hanukkah, the Feast of Dedication, is in December, but you know, December would technically be what, Sivit? Because it's not the 12th month.
That's the 9th month for us.
No, I'm talking about the D or the Decide tell you what it is. That's the 10th month of the year. Now, I mention that because from a Hebrew perspective, it's given what's in the law. Genesis 8:22 for those who may not know. That's all they do. They think screaming and hollering gonna get their way. Go ahead.
It said, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease.
Shall not cease. Now, why do we read that? For those who may not be aware that there's only 2 seasons. There is no spring and there is no fall. It's 360 days in a year, 12 months, 30 days in each month. It's 6 seasons, 6 months to a season. Summer and winter. When the first day of the first month come in to the 30th day of the 6th month, that's summer. When the first day of the 7th month come in, shalom, Brother Marcus, what you would generally refer to as memorial blowing the trumpets, to the 30th day of the 12th month, that's wintertime. And it's straight like that. Doesn't matter how anybody think, feel, or like to perpetuate as it concerns to that. Scripturally, that's what that is. Now, of course, you ain't going to be sinning an extra if you say it's springtime, but effectively, there is no such thing as springtime. That's somebody else's stuff. You know what I'm saying? What we were talking about something like that the other day. I can't remember what it was. Oh, that's why I was telling somebody the other day. We done talked about it on plenty of times before. And I was telling Yoshi this, like, you read about all these ancient deities in this book. These deities belong to different cultures. How people perceive the word that they read is they perceive it according to the perspective of the world that we live in now. That Christianity is the world's largest religion. That everywhere people go, somebody might be trying to preach Jesus to you, preach Yahushua to you, preach Yeshua to you. But the reality in ancient antiquity, they did not do that. You know what I'm talking about? And even with the apostles, they were going in places where Israelites were concentrated at. And then if Gentiles latched onto it, they latched onto it. You know what I'm saying? The only person who went directly to Gentiles that you can read or who was sent to them was Paul. The other 13 apostles that you can read about in here, and I'm counting Barnabas with that, them men wasn't going around doing that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just telling you this so you can understand this from the worldview of the time period that you're reading this book from. Because they didn't do all that. Ain't no Israelites going and say, let's conquer this country with the word. They didn't do that. They weren't going out with military expansion, seeking to colonize and rule over these people and make them serve Yahuwah. They wasn't doing that. Because that's not what they were commissioned to do. You know what I'm saying? We literally just had that same conversation we were talking about Wednesday. How people look at, the black church has done this. What has these other black movements done? And he mentioned that, and we mentioned, and somebody else mentioned the same thing. That's not in the word's job to come up with literacy programs for you, after school programs for you. That's not their job. You know what I'm saying? Now, because we live in America, and you've seen the black church do this in the civil rights time period that you can read about. You think that's what they're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is, most churches don't even bring enough money to do that. And we talk about the very thing that we didn't talk about before, that effectively you have to run it like a business. And that be the ugly part that people don't like to discuss. And that's why I told you, that's when you start towing that fine line, because the assembly of Yahuwah is not a business. That's why Peter told you, we read it Wednesday, these people are going to come in and make merchandise of you. You know what I'm saying? See, when people read about, the Lord come through and whoop them people, you know what I'm talking about? We know why they were there. They just weren't randomly selling it. It was Passover. It was unleavened bread. They were there for a reason based off the law. They know, hey, man, people coming from a distance, they can't do X, Y, Z. But then you got, like we read with Samuel's sons, they were greedy for lucre. Or you're going to mess around and be like with Balaam. Give me that in the Epistle of Jude, man. You could just pick it up about verse 5.
I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not.
Right.
And the Malachim which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation.
Right.
He have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day.
Right.
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh,
right,
are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
Right.
Likewise also, these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities. Yet Michael and the Malachim, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, do not bring about him a railing accusation,
right,
but said, the Lord rebuke you.
Rebuke you.
But these speak evil of those things which they know not, or what they know naturally as brute beasts.
Brute beasts.
Those things they corrupt themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain.
They've gone in the way of who?
Of Cain.
And ran a what?
Greedily after the error of Balaam for reward.
Go and ran greedily after the error of who?
Of Balaam.
For what?
For reward.
My God, today. Go to 2 Peter 2, man. Think about verse 6. And this is just about Balaam. This is just another passage about Balaam. Go ahead.
And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly.
Right.
And delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them, and seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds.
Right.
The Lord know how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished.
Right.
But chiefly them that walk after the flesh.
Walk after what?
After the flesh.
And what else?
The lust of uncleanness, and despise government. Presumptuous. And are they self-willed? They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities.
That's right.
Whereas Malachim, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusation against them before the Lord.
Right.
But these as natural brute beasts made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. And shall receive the reward of the unrighteous, as they that counted pleasure to riot in the daytime. Spots they are and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you.
Go ahead.
Having eyes full of adultery, cannot cease from sin.
Can't cease.
Beguiling unstable souls, and heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children.
What verse is it?
This is verse 15.
There you go. That's what I want. Go ahead.
He said, which have forsaken the right way.
Did what?
Forsaken the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Besor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness.
Love the wages of what? Slaughter. And he got rebuked by what?
For his iniquity. The dumb ass speaking with man's voice forbade the madness of the prophet.
Stop. You can go to John 10 and 22 now. But we were reading that because that's what happens when you make it a business. Now you're might have to go after the wages of unrighteousness. It's a line you really can't toe. You know what I'm saying? Because like I told you before, people do a lot of things, and I know we were talking about the stuff in the pattern, and we're going to get back to that after we read the John 10:22. I just really wanted to focus on the part about anointing the altar that was dedicated. And looking at how Yahushua is the altar, he was anointed and dedicated. This is why we read that. But while we're reading that, just a couple other things came to mind, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, a lot of people get in their mind that I'm doing this for the will of God and you doing your own stuff. And you thinking, hey, this is going to be beneficial and you doing your own stuff. Just like we read Wednesday, if you got the oversight or you an overseer, you have to have care. And you have to realize something. You have care over something that does not belong to you. You know what I'm saying? So you don't get to dictate how to do something or something that has actually been given to your care that doesn't belong to you. So when you think about when Paul said, he that is a steward must be found faithful, and a steward is a guarder of another man's goods, then you can begin to understand why you have to do it according to the pattern in the mount. You know what I'm talking about? Not according to, I think this gonna work because this is what I want to do. And you have to really get in your mind that what you do at your house, what you do in the world, that's your business. Because everything you do at your house and in the world don't mean that it's wicked. You know what I'm talking about? But when it come down to this man's house, boy, that man dead serious about what he talking about, man. Listen, man, if you can read about Moses, who was the most meekest man to ever live, you understand? And this man didn't get to enter into the land because he spake to the, because he struck the rock versus speaking to it. And you can sit back and look at where them people were messing with him. That's how serious that man is. Oh, no, you can't get in here, because I told you to do this and you did that. Even though it got the same effect in the water came out the rock, ain't it? But it ain't matter that the water came out the rock. I told you to do it like this, though. And you took it upon yourself to do it like that. Don't even worry about it. You got to pay attention to all the instances in the book with men who were in certain positions that did something the way they wanted to do it, outside the way that he told them to do it, and what happened to them. Serious matter. Before you read that, read 1 Corinthians 4:1. Before you read John 10:22.
Let a man so account of us as of the ministers of Hamashiach and stewards of the mysteries of Elohim.
Stewards of the what?
Of the mysteries of Elohim.
Go ahead.
Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful.
Tell them what the stewards are, man. Tell them what they is, man. Notice he said that they stewards of the mystery.
It's orthonomos, the manager of household or of household affairs.
You are a manager of household affairs. So now you're a manager of the mysteries or of the secrets. And if you're going to be a manager of them secrets, you have to be found faithful. And if you're a manager of them secrets, you got to be faithful over the people you giving those secrets to. Now, if you're a manager of household affairs, let's do it like this here. Let's go to Hebrews 3:1, right? After that, Acts 20 and 24.
Wherefore, Kadash brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Hamashiach Yahushua, who was faithful to him that appointed him, as also Moses was faithful in all his house.
Stop. Yahushua is the steward. If we look at what we read in 1 Corinthians 15, everything that the Father had, he gave it into the Son's hand. So he's a manager over another man's deed. He said, my Abba gave them to me, and no man can pluck them out of my hand. I and my Abba are one. So he's being faithful over something that belongs to someone else. Then he mentioned Moses, and Moses was faithful over something that belonged to someone else, because he was the manager over the entire household of affairs. Go ahead.
For this man was counted worthy of more esteem than Moses, inasmuch as he who had built the house have more honor than the house. For every house is built by some man, but he that built all things is Elohim.
Oh, I see why you say that, John. Nasty. That's not well terrible. Go ahead.
And Moses truly was faithful in all his house as a servant for a testimony of those things.
Notice that if he's a steward over that house, what it was he said?
He was faithful in all his house as a servant.
As a servant. That goes right back to what we were talking about in Matthew 20. That goes right back to what a pastor is, a preacher is. They're a servant. I mention that because that gets lost in translation in this modern time. You know what I'm saying? And there's a multitude of reasons for it. You know what I'm saying? People get caught up in cult of personality. I've told you that for years. People get caught up in gimmicks. I was just talking to the dog about that, and he was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, they like, oh, I didn't know y'all identified as an Israelite. Yeah, we don't have to swing a banner about it. He was like, it's important. Important for what? Important for what? You know what I'm saying? Oh, because our forefathers made a blood oath at the bottom of Mount Sinai, but he made a new oath. So what? And in that oath, he said you're going to be the sons of God. So why is that important? When I say why is that important, that you lead with it and you're making your entire identity about it and you're making everything you preach about it. Not one time did he tell anybody, go preach and tell them they're Israelites. He never told nobody that. That's not the teaching that he gave. But you know why we lead with that type of teaching? Because it replaces the fundamentals of faith and godliness that an individual will have because these individuals ain't stewards because he ain't gave them no mysteries. You know what I'm saying? I was just talking to my homegirl. She's like this here. I ain't heard nobody on this app talk about when the day starts, when the Sabbath is. Babe, I've been hearing people talk about this for 15 years. And when you've been in it for a while, you'll notice that the same topics of debate get recycled. So what is that telling you? Nobody pauses in their brain and say, hey, man, what is this telling me? That everybody want to talk about is the whole book fulfilled in 70 AD? Can women preach? Can Gentiles be saved? Who are the Israelites? Is Yahushua the Messiah? You got to pause and ask yourself that, man. This all you niggas got? You mean to tell me that everybody say they got the Holy Ghost, everybody say they got the Ruach HaKodesh, and this all y'all talking about? I told you before and I'll tell you again, man. Remember what Pac said, man. Just don't bob your head to the beat, man. Listen to the lyrics. Is that real to you? Is that real to you? You understand? Because your life on the line. You can look around, you can skin and grin, you can tap dance and play. You can be like, well, this person doing this and this band, look at, man, I wouldn't care. Listen, man, if 1,000 niggas was smoking crack, you gonna smoke it because you feel like they in the word, so why can't I smoke it? You understand how simple you sound? Why is your service and faithfulness to God contingent on what somebody else doing? That ain't got nothing to do with you. That man say, I got 7,000 men I reserved that didn't bow to need a ball. Everybody around them were bowing to need a ball. So you gonna bow to need a ball because they bowing? They don't understand. They just want to damn. That's it. That's it. And since Monte said that, give me Psalm 53 and 1. Then after that, give me Isaiah 40 and 22. And I don't say that to be harsh. I say that for perspective's sake. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you can't concern yourself about what nobody else doing. If they doing something and you know it's not correct, then actually have the love, care, and consideration to pull them to the side and tell them. Just go tell them. And if they reject it, guess what? That's their business. You did what your law tell you. Hold no grudge against your neighbor, but anywise rebuke your neighbor to not suffer sin upon them. So if you believe it's that serious, why you ain't corrected your neighbor? And if you corrected your neighbor, first admonition, second admonition, third admonition, reject, it's over with. Let that be what it is. Because they got to have to deal with the consequence. But you did what you were supposed to do if you love this individual like you say you do. You know what I'm saying? We overcomplicate things greatly. This stuff's not complicated. It's really not. It's very simple. You know what I'm saying? This is part of the reason why your law say it. And when Paul mentioned that if somebody doing something out of, and I ain't talking about little tic-tac, I'm talking about really out of pocket now. Like that one in part, that man talking about, boy, dudes sleeping with their father's wives. You understand me? We talking about, boy, you really out of pocket. You supposed to shame them by separating yourself from them. Not sitting around talking about it. Not sitting around talking about it amongst each other. But like, hey, boy, you around here doing X, Y, Z. Boy, I'm not finna eat with you, boy. I'm not finna sit down with you, man. I'm not finna go over here with you, man. And they supposed to be shamed publicly. But see, people don't want to do that because shame is a powerful tool. You see what I'm saying? People don't like it because you worry about people's feelings. It's one thing if somebody don't know, because you shouldn't shame them because they don't know. But if they know, man, listen. Before we proceed, because this junk here, man, let me tell y'all something, right? I was just telling them, right? I seen this before the recommendation of the dudes who killed Fulio Jury came back. They recommended him get life, right? But the dude Isaiah Chance, right? They did a psychological evaluation on this man. They said this man read at a 5th grade level. You want to know what's worse? His reading comprehension is at a 7th grade level. You know what's worse? His spelling is at an 8th grade level. You know what's even worse? His math skills is at a 3rd grade level. You know what's even worse? His IQ 71. Now, I was mentioning that like because, you know, I was told this. No, I read this in a newspaper when I was in the county jail in 2004 or 2005. You understand? That the average reading level in the Duval County Jail was the 5th grade. So as we discussing this, I Googled it. And you know what I found? That 85% of adults in the United States of America read at an 8th grade level. Not black people, everybody. Now I want you to let that sizzle in your spirit, marinate in your brain. 5'6". Truth be told, really it's almost 6 7s. So for every 7 adults, 6 of them read at an 8th grade level. You know what that means? They got the mind of a 13-year-old. A 13-year-old. Man, when I seen that, man, you know what I'm saying? It made me consider, that's why so many niggas who talk about the Bible are stupid. Then it made me think about what I read in Quiet Weapons for Silent Wars when I was 24 years old. And when it stated that they wanted to dumb the American population down to have the education level of a 6th grader. Do you understand that a 6th grader is 11 years old, man? 11 years old. So that means that they wanted grown adults walking around here with the mind of an 11-year-old. And effectively right now at this day, according to literary statistics, this is from the United States government, by the way, people are walking around here with the mind of a 13-year-old. And you wonder why so many people like drama, and you wonder why so many people can't communicate properly, and you wonder why so many people don't know how to express themselves or say this to somebody or say this to somebody, because functionally and mentally they are a child. This ain't men, this ain't women, it's everybody. And that's why you see so many women on the internet trying to act like they intellectually superior and men trying to act like they intellectually superior when both y'all stupid as the day is long. Think about that, man. 15% of the population read past an 8th grade level, bro. Man, in the special education world, he's considered IND, which means he has severe intellectual disability with a high. That's what the psychologist said. An IQ of 71, man. Well, y'all know how low that is, boy? Man, listen. Another one of them boys, they said all 4 of the lobes in his brain were damaged. But I didn't have an article that dictated where he was at. But that just stood out to me, man. Do you understand how, bro, this man's math level, bro, was at the level of an 8-year-old. Now, while you do that there, Most of the peers you go to school with are not going to go past where you're at right now intellectually. They're going to stay right there where they at. Because this generation dumber than the ones who came before them, and they getting steadily dumber. Now they're getting steadily dumber because the world that y'all have to navigate in is drastically different than the world that I had to navigate. Because their interpersonal skills are bad. Because you don't have interpersonal skills. Because you have the internet and y'all don't go out and about and do things. Their problem-solving skills are bad because they don't go out and do nothing. And parents be ready to do things for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, all this stuff is bad. Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That junk was disheartening. To sit back and see that 85% of the U.S. population, shalom on stuff, can't read past the 8th grade level, man. That's disheartening. Say pre-puberty age level thinking, it makes a lot of sense due to the nature of conversations on podcasts, interviews on YouTube, just my observation. Indeed. Because if you read at an 8th grade level, you can't communicate or ponder upon things past that level. You literally have the mind of a preteen. A preteen, man. Now, I already didn't really go back and forth about people with no Bible, man. But I'm certainly not now knowing that you were just intellectually delayed. Because if your reading level is at the 8th grade, your reading comprehension level can't be no past that. So you can't even properly comprehend what you read because you can barely read it. And that's why I've always told you, and I'm glad this clicked in my brain, young, that you have to steer your children away from wanting to be entertained all the time, because that's how they're going to end up intellectually delayed. You know what I'm saying? That's why I've always told you that. I didn't realize how bad it was until today. Because I remember I used to read a lot when I was young. I used to read a lot of novels. And it just clicked in my brain, I want to say in about the 1st or 2nd grade, that I didn't want to read to be entertained. That if I was going to read something, I wanted to read in order to learn something. And I stopped reading nonfiction that day. I didn't start reading, fiction that day. I didn't start reading fiction again until I was in prison. Just because I needed something to read, period. You know what I'm saying? But if I have a choice between nonfiction and fiction, I'm picking nonfiction, bud. Every time. You know what I'm saying? Ignorance is no excuse to the law is a phrase they like to use. But see, that's fair. But when I look at ignorance, depending on what it is, it means you don't know something. So what I look at is how many people failed you to get you to the point that you have the mind of a 13-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Now, once you get to a certain point in life, it's your personal responsibility to do better. But how can you even do better if you don't even know you down bad? Bro, a 13-year-old blood, man, listen. That's why I always told you that, man. Being entertained is cool, but you don't want to take a developing mind that puts entertainment above education. And when I say above education, I'm talking about even self-education. The desire to want to be exposed and to learn new things. One thing I was glad I was told, man, the more you read, that increases your vocabulary. You wonder why people have a poor vocabulary? Because the nigga can't read. You got grown people who boast about, I don't like to read. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Because some of your ancestors was murdered for wanting to read, man. And you won't even take the opportunity and advantage to read. And you know, and I know why you nigga don't like to read, because you can't. I never considered that till today, man. You nigga don't like to read because you can't. God damn it. Bro, that joint's sad, blood. That joint's sad, man. And the only way something like that gonna stop, you gotta start with you. You gotta stop it. You see what I'm saying? You have to make education and reading and things of that nature a priority. Now I see why these white folks worrying about the Chinese, man, because y'all niggas are dumb. And I say, nigga, I'm talking about everybody. Because we got to be niggas. If every race of people fall into this, that means all of us stupid. I don't think y'all, maybe y'all do understand, because obviously I can't see your faces. Y'all understand how concerning that is to understand that the overwhelming majority of the population can't read past an 8th grade level, bro? You say you definitely peep that. Then when you say Old English or the KJV, it's another hurdle. And they say the KJV written for a 5th grader can understand it. Bro. So when I think about that in the totality, right? If you're reading at an 8th grade level, like I said, that means you have the intellectual capacity of a preteen. So that means 99.9% of the time, you're going to have the emotional maturity of a preteen. See, that's why I realized No Child Left Behind Act was a setup. You keep passing kids along, regardless of their ability to master the grade. So then you have 6th graders that on the kindergarten level, the gap widens every year and you keep getting passed along. My God, today. And you know the sad part is, out of them 85% that reading at an 8th grade level, there's college graduates in that. See, I've been aware of this back when I was in the military. Like I said, I was aware of this at 25 when I seen that, but I was just thinking, I didn't look on the, we didn't have the internet like that. In your phone, you could just Google it. I was like, okay, jail, 5th grade level, I could see that. Poverty, you know what I'm saying? Less opportunities for proper education, so on and so forth. But to sit back and think that this everybody, well, that's terrible, bro. That's terrible, man. You know what I'm saying? Man, if it ain't one thing in y'all household, man, not just with the word, though, we make sure them children read, man. You know what I'm saying? You need to make sure them children read, man. And I'm talking about, and give them things to challenge them, man. Get them niggas a dictionary, man. You go to the bathroom, take that with you. Learn words, man. Expand your lexicon, man. Have the ability to articulate yourself, concisely and beautifully. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up and down. Because that junk don't make no sense. Then you think about that, but then you look at how many grown people can't even properly articulate themselves. Let me get back on track, man. I just had to mention that, man. That junk was disturbing, bro. Grown man, 71 IQ, man. That's true. 71 IQ, man. 3rd grade math level, 5th grade reading level, man. Spelling at the 8th grade level, this boy can't spell words. How is spelling higher than his reading? He can comprehend better than he can read. I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to be alive long, man. I don't want to live with and the world getting passed off to these young children, man. And the reality is, who responsible for it? All of us. Because if you got children and these people stupid like that, that's your fault. You failed your children. And you got to look at yourself in the mirror and be able to say that. And you know why we fail our children, man? Because we be more concerned with fun, memories, and leisure than discipline, structure, and education. And money. Because the money gonna come if it's something that you purposely going after. But if you can't think, then you can be ruled over by whoever in power. It don't make no difference. That's why they didn't want your ancestors to read, man. Because if you read, you got the ability to think. And if you think, you got the ability to maneuver, and you can't be manipulated. If you can't read, you can't think. That's why this book tells you need to be more mobile than those in Thessalonica and search the scriptures daily to see if those things are so. That's why people don't be wanting you to read, because when you read, I can think for you. Come on, Sylvia. John, what I got you?
Yeah, Psalms 53 and then
Psalms 53 and 1. You said, oh, that's literally one point above intellectual disability. Say we ready for a vacation instead of building for our name? Absolutely. Because that's what they say, because you've been taught that life is supposed to be fun. Like I seen somebody post this here, and I get it. Life is more, I want my children to understand life is more than work and this, that, and the third. Who told you that? So when you have this dalliance around or doing X, Y, Z, you can't think. Because you know why? Because your dopamine is wide open and you're looking for your next opportunity for pleasure. And you have to have the ability to have perspective to balance both. There ain't nothing wrong with having pleasure. But if your mind is dominated and ruled with having pleasure, she that live in pleasure is dead while she lives. Come on, man. Psalms 53 and 1. And if you think I'm just talking about a woman, you simple as the day you were born.
The fool has said in his heart, there is no Elohim. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that do good. Elohim looked down from Shamim upon the children of men.
And what he looked for?
To see if there were any that did understand, that did seek Elohim.
He said, is there any that understand and seek after God? You know what we seek after? The mind, thoughts, opinions, belief, and perspectives of men. That's why he says that fear of me is taught in the doctrines and precepts of men. You know what I'm saying? But we don't seek after his understanding. We ain't seeking after him. Isaiah 40 and 22. We got to seek after him, man. Go ahead, Isaiah 40 and 22.
It is he that sit upon the circle of the arras, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretched out the Shamahim as a curtain, and spread them out as a tent to dwell in, that bring the princes to nothing. He made the judges of the earth as vanity. Yea, they shall not be planted, yea, they shall not be sown. Yea, their stock shall not take root in the earth. He shall also blow upon them.
Listen.
They shall wither. The whirlwind shall take them away as stubble.
Come on.
To whom then will you liken me, or shall I be equal to the doctrine? Lift up your eyes on high and behold, who have created these things.
Who made it?
That bring out their hosts by number. Call them all by names, by the greatness of his might, so that he is strong in power, not one fail.
Not one fail.
Why say you, O Jacob, and speak, O Yasharal? My way is hid from Yahuwah.
My way ain't hid.
And my judgment is passed over from my Elohim.
Come on.
Have you not known? Have you not heard?
What they ain't here, Sid?
That the everlasting Elohim, Yahuwah, the creator of the ends of the earth.
He don't do what?
Faint not.
What else he don't do?
Neither is weary. There's no searching of his understanding.
There's no searching of what?
Understanding.
And that be the problem. Ain't nobody seeking after God. Ain't nobody seeking for his understanding. We seeking for the understanding of men. The commandments, instructions of men. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm telling you this. I was talking to Yoshi about this the other day. I've told y'all this plenty of times. I was a humanities major. That's what I was into. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, I wasn't no idiot. I know I couldn't monetize that. The only way you can monetize that is if you're going to be a professor or you're going to call yourself going across the world getting grant money to go find this stuff. You know what I'm talking about? But it's good to understand the humanities because you can understand ancient civilizations and cultures, the way that they thought, the way that they expressed themselves, the way that they interacted with the deities that they worship, the things that they wrote. That's just to get an understanding of human relation and nature. I'm into that also. So that's different. If you're not into that, peace, Brother Omar, that's not going to interest you. You're not going to do it. You know what I'm talking about? Like what I'm saying, we were talking about the other day, it's cool to understand how the Israelites of antiquity looked at certain passages, understood certain passages, how they expressed themselves. Nothing wrong with that. But if you ain't seeking God's understanding, if you seeking theirs, you might miss out on something because them people was wrong about stuff. You know how we know this? Because the book tells us they was wrong. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have the ability to balance the two, to have the understanding of the human beings of the time period, but also understanding what's the insight that my God want me to have as it pertains to me interrelating to him. Because me being a humanities major, I understand the difference of the text now that I'm in it. When I read other ancient texts or ancient civilizations or studied ancient civilizations, I understood that these are the writings of these people of their time. Getting in the word in 2009, I understood that this is not a book of people writing about their understanding of the time. This is something that comes from God. Now, where an individual believe it come from the Almighty Elohim and Shamahim Yahuwah of hosts is his name, that's another conversation. I'm not here to debate that. You know what I'm saying? But if you hold the point of view that this is the words of the living Elohim through the physical manifestation of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, then you will have to know that this is not a book about how man relate to God, but how God relate to man, expressing his will, his way, his purpose, and his salvation. And you have to have the understand the dichotomy between the two. Straight like that. You know what I'm saying? And some people don't do that. What do I mean by that? Some people lean heavily on, I don't give a damn what them people understood and thought. I'm going to be over here. But they don't even understand God either. And then you got some people, I don't want to understand God. I only care about what these people understood and thought. And then you have a very, very minute minority. Very small group of people who understand the dichotomy between the two. My objective is that you understand the dichotomy between the two. You know what I'm saying? That you lean to the right-hand side with a sheep at, with God's understanding, but yet you can understand how your forefathers understood certain things at that particular time. That's why I always tell y'all, you can't rag on the people for rejecting Yahushua at the time when he was walking. You have to be able to look at the world through the lens of life that they looked at it through and how they understood the text at the time. Them people was confused at some of the things that they were doing, he was doing, because their understanding of what the Mashiach was supposed to do, he didn't necessarily look like he was doing it. Same what we talk about, them people didn't know he was born in Bethlehem. All they knew he was from Galilee, so they confused. We see him doing this XYZ. We believe he the one based off what he's doing, but the book say he's supposed to be from Bethlehem. This man is from Galilee. But they didn't know he was born in Bethlehem. Come on to John 10 and 20.
And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication, and it was winter.
It was what?
It was winter. Yahushua walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Yahudim round about him and said unto him, how long do you make us to doubt if you be the Mashiach?
That's good, man. Just give him the Greek definition of that we got to get back on tab, man. But, man, no, I'm dead serious because I literally just talking about that hour ago, man. That junk really disturbed me to see that so many people read at such a low level, man.
You wanted dedication?
Yeah.
That's ekania, that is dedication and consecration.
The same definition. I just want y'all to hear that. Hold on, y'all. Listen, right. This is what it say about the reading level for black people. Listen what they say, man. I'm going to read you this here. It says, this is from September 29th, 2024. It says 85% of African-American black folks in the U.S. read at or below the 8th grade. Now, this is just for our people. You know what I'm saying? At or below the 8th grade. One reason why so many people don't realize they are advanced as they may believe is because most things we encounter are written at a 5th and 6th grade reading level. People think because they can understand most of what they read in the world that they're more literate than they are. The majority of that 15% is women, by the way. It's not you literate, sis. It's him. Use smaller words, and then they go to talk about women. Nah, man, like these people, but then, like I told you, these people set it up that way. They set stuff up that way for you to be stupid. And then the bad part is you stupid and you think you intellectually superior when both of y'all really at the same level. It says the average adult reading level for black women spans a wide spectrum, with the vast majority of adult Americans reading at or below the 8th grade level. However, among black adults in the U.S. achieving higher literacy scores and advanced academic degrees, women make up the majority. Understanding the reading level data requires looking at two distinct categories: adult baseline literacy and K-12 educational proficiency. 50% of all Americans read below an 8th grade level. Among African-American adults, the majority read at or below the 8th grade benchmark. This is heavily tied to systematic opportunity gaps and access to early resources rather than capability. Now it says that black women represent a substantial percentage of black students earning master's degrees and doctoral degrees, significantly skewing the upper bounds of literacy and education levels within the demographic. It says 85% of black students lack proficient reading and math skills by the 8th grade. While black girls tend to slightly outperform their male peers, large proportions of black female students face massive disparities compared to white students, leaving many testing below grade level. It says in Jacksonville, reading proficiency scores in Duval County and surrounding regions generally reflect these national trends, with smaller percentage of black students scoring proficient, level 3 or better. Come on, man. Now this goes back to when I was telling y'all about when the judge was asking why so much murder in Jacksonville. I'm like, the answer is poverty. See, this stuff is all systematic. You stupid because they want you stupid. You poor because they want you poor. Like straight up and down. And I know sometimes we can be like, we were just talking about this, we can make it easy as, oh, you just got to want to do better. But boy, when you in a world where you think you are better and you don't know that you're not, how you going to do better? How you going to do better? That's why they keep you working around the clock. That's why they keep you entertained. Because when you entertain, your mind turn to mush. Come on, Ziggy, man. Before I went on the tangent, man. This junk really agitate my soul, man. What I just had to read. Oh, we just finished Sean. Now, we were talking about this here, right? Go to Matthew 26. Let me go back there even why we read and what we read. So in 2 Chronicles 7, right? You know, they dedicated the altar, but in number 7, that's why we even written all this stuff, and then a whole bunch of other things started coming to mind. And number 784, right? We went to all that because he said the dedication of the altar in the day that it was anointed by the princes of Yasharal. So when you, shalom, Brother Ernest. So when we go to Matthew 26, right, of course you see it's Mary that anoints him. But it's actually in Isaiah 21. Read me Isaiah 21 and 5.
Prepare the table, watch in the watchtower, eat, drink, arise, you princes, and anoint the shield.
Anoint the who?
Anoint the shield.
Now that goes back to what we were talking about, what we read in number 7, and it's of course referring to the apostles, but we're really talking about the anointing of the altar, or the sanctifying of the altar. When Yahushua ate that bread and drank that wine, that's when you're looking at the dedication of the altar. Go back to number 784 Civic. Give them the definition of altar, man. Hold on, there is something. I ain't see this. Oh, he said there is something that are commonly cited to be 63,000 to 76,000 internal cross references throughout the Old and New Testament. These references link phrases, people, places, and themes from Genesis to Revelation, demonstrating how interwoven the 66 books are. There's no way a natural man with the power of God could write such a masterpiece. And I don't disagree. Now, I know some people from their perspective and the paradigm that they come from, especially as it pertains to the New Testament, a lot of individuals believe that they just copy things out. You know what I'm saying? And say, oh, we're going to interject that here. We're going to interject that there. And that's their business. You know what I'm saying? Can't get upset about it. People have their perspectives. It is what it is. Come on, please.
That word is mizbeach, altar. That's it.
What you use an altar for, Sid?
To offer up sacrifices.
To offer up sacrifices. Yahushua literally is the offering up of the sacrifice. How did he do that? Because he offered up himself. But nevertheless, let's come over here and look at this candlestick. Come to Exodus 31. Dwayne Jamal, why are you doing all that yelling? $31 and 1.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, See, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehuda.
Yep.
I filled him with the Ruach of Elohim, and wisdom, and in understanding, and in knowledge, and all manner of workmanship.
Y'all remember what Bezaleel meant, man? Also, programming note. Y'all willing, we're going to start at noon tomorrow, man. Doors open at 11:30. Doors open at 11:30. Y'all willing, man? We'll be there. We'll be cranking up sometime after 12. Go ahead.
To devise cunning works, to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in cutting of stones, to set them in carving of timber, to work in all manner of workmanship.
Right.
And I, behold, I have given with him Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, and in the hearts of all that are wise-hearted I have put wisdom, that they may make all that I have commanded you.
Run it.
Tabernacle of the congregation, and the ark of the testimony, and the mercy seat that is thereupon, and all the furniture of the tabernacle, and the table and his furniture, and the pure candlestick with all his furniture, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offering with all his furniture, and the laver of and his foot, and the cloths of service, and the Kadash garments for Aaron the priest, the garments of his sons to minister in the priest's office, the anointing oil, sweet incense for the Kadash, according to all that I have commanded you shall they do.
Stop. So remember, Bezaleel means shadow or the protection of God. Elohab is the Father's tent. Now, this is the chief assistant to Bezaleel in constructing the tabernacle. Now, I know I mentioned some of this Wednesday. We're running back. Matthew 16 and 13.
When Yahushua came to the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? They said, Some say that you are John the Baptist, some Elijah, others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He said unto them, But whom say you that I am?
What Peter said.
Simon Peter answered and said, You are the Mashiach, the son of the living Elohim.
What the Lord said.
Yahushua answered and said unto him, Baruch are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed
it unto you,
which is in Shamayim.
Therefore,
I say unto you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my assembly, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it.
Upon this rock I'm going to do what?
Build my assembly.
Go on, tell them what rock is right there, man. Go ahead and tell them what church is right there in the Greek, man.
Rock is Petra, a rock, cliff, or ledge, a projecting rock, a crag, a rocky ground. Metaphorically, it's a man like a rock by reason of his firmness and strength of soul.
Say that boy solid. That's your song, ain't it? You solid as a rock? No, he don't know that song. Go ahead.
And then churches, ecclesia, a gathering of citizens called out from their homes into some public space, an assembly.
Listen, he said this is a group of people who are called out. That's why I tell you, many are called, few are chosen. You know, and strive for the high calling of the Mashiach. Just so you can read out the text when you talk about calling out, man. Proverbs 8:1, man. Make it plain on the paper. Make it plain on the paper, baby.
Do not wisdom cry and understanding put forth her voice? She stand in the top of high places, by the way in the places of the paths. She cry at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice to the sons of man.
His voice of the who?
It's to the sons of man.
What she calling about him for?
O you simple, understand wisdom. You fools, be you of an understanding heart.
Understanding heart.
Herefore I will speak of excellent things, and opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips.
That's good, man. I just wanted you to see there was a calling out. He wanted to see who was going to answer that call. That's why ain't nobody seeking after his understanding, because when he called, nobody answered. He said, when I spake, they didn't hear. So I gave them over chose out their delusions for them. You understand? Come on back, man. Let's come to we ain't got to come back over there. Come over here to the epistle of Ephesians, man. I know I want to hit this candlestick. We can hit this altar of incense. Y'all willing, we'll pull the temple stuff back up on the screen so everybody can see it. I think I want Ephesians too, man. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You can start at verse 1 on general principle. Hold your Exodus 31, man.
You have he quickened who were dead in trespasses and sins, where in time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air.
You were the time past you walked according to what?
The course of this world.
Tell them what that means, man. Tell them what that course means, man.
It is ahion, that is forever, an unbroken age, perpetuity of time, eternity, the world, the universe, a period of time.
So for a period of time, you walked according to the world, which was hostile to the cause of a Mashiach. Come on, Philip.
You say the spirit that now worked in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past, in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others.
Paul, that's why I always tell you, man, you can't be coming off the top rope at people who fresh in the word as if you didn't all had your conduct according to your lust that were contrary to the will of God and fulfilling the desires of your mind. And then you looking at somebody who ain't been doing it as long as you, who don't know what you know, and you looking at them like, you this, that, and the third. You know how wicked that is, man. He said, it is black and white as they not as sheet. So that, yes, it is. Yeah, it is that black and white. It is that plain. Matter of fact, do this for me, since Lil Johnny asked that question. Hebrews 4:1. Yeah, it's really that simple, man. And then you can read them John 8 and 46 just because. And after that, you can read in Proverbs 1 and 22 just because.
Let us therefore fear, lest the promise be...
I don't have any links that I can... Somebody else got to put that on there. I can't do that. Somebody who in the room going to have to be able to do that.
Say, let us therefore fear, lest the promise being left of us entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it.
Right.
For unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them.
But it didn't profit them.
Not being mixed with faith in them that heard.
So you can have 100 people hear the word, and it'll profit 2, and it won't profit 98 because of the faith that's in them. And it's that simple. And people don't like to put it that way because that's an uncomfortable reality. You know what I'm saying? John 8 and 46.
Which of you convince me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words.
He that is a who?
Elohim
hears
Elohim's words.
You therefore
hear them not,
because you are
not of Elohim.
1 John 4 and 4. Then Proverbs 1 and 20.
You are of Elohim, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world hear them. We are of Elohim. He that know Elohim hear us. He that is not of Elohim hear not us.
He that is what?
He that is not of Elohim hear not us.
Go ahead.
Hereby know we the rock of truth and the rock of error.
That's how black and white it is, Lil Johnny. This is how we know the ruach of truth and the ruach of error. And people don't like to hear that because we like to have gray area so we can feel like we got somewhere to hide. But as he said in the book of Job, there's no place where the worker of iniquity can hide. Can't hide nowhere, man. Proverbs 1 and 20.
Wisdom cry without. She utter her voice in the streets. She cry in the chief place of concourse and the openings of the gates. In the city she utter her words, saying,
what she say?
How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity?
How long you gonna be stupid, you stupid ones? How long you gonna love stupidity? Because that's what the word mean, man. You gotta understand how serious that is. Your God put in Solomon's mind to say, wisdom is asking you, you stupid people, how long you gonna love stupidity? See, that's different from being ignorant. You know what I'm saying? We give people a hard time for being ignorant. I don't give people a hard time for being ignorant, especially considering what the epistle to the Hebrews say. You know what I'm saying? Who can have compassion on those who are ignorant and out of the way? I can't look down on you because you don't know. And I definitely don't have the mind of you should know. How you can only know what you're exposed to. If you're not exposed to it, there's no way for you to know it. And I shouldn't look at you and be like, well, you should have figured it out. Because that's not how life works. But when you know, or you've been shown and you've been taught, oh, you stupid. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference. You stupid on purpose because you can't say that you didn't know. You knew and chose to do something else. You're stupid. You know what I'm saying? And those people need to be shamed and ridiculed consistently. Like, I mean, I just mentioned him because I mentioned all them earlier. Like, some people would look at the Gathright boy and say, oh, he's stupid because you got to travel to Tokyo and you got to travel here. But see, that's what I'll be telling y'all. Traveling to places doesn't give you culture just because you went and seen something. Because you're not going there to ingratiate yourself with a community of people. You're going out there to have leisure time. You going out there to look at landmarks don't make you culture. That's telling me that is a gift. Because I've always told you that. That proves to me the hallmark that Americans are stupid. And that reading that at 8, because you think traveling somewhere makes you cultured. Because you don't understand culture. Being cultured comes from immersing yourself in a culture through education, dummy. Not traveling somewhere. Because you travel to see the Roman Colosseum, that don't make you cultured, nigga. Because you seen the Pantheon, because you seen Eiffel Tower, that don't make you cultured.
Supposed to make you a better person.
Yeah, that don't make you a better person because you had all this, because that's not an experience. You think traveling somewhere is an experience that will lead to intellectual growth and expansion. Nigga, you just saw something. I never had that thought process. Let me travel here so I can have these experiences that make me well-rounded. No, make you mean, you know what will make you more well-rounded? And I'm just arbitrary things that come to my mind. You know, you learn how to play the piano. You get on the debate team. You get in a reading club. Having experiences with different disciplines and being around different people and interacting with people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, that's what make you well-rounded. You know how many people y'all know who travel all over the place and they stupid? They stupid. This is how you know that we get dumbed down. Because we really think that makes you smarter. You went to Paris, you can't tell me nothing about French history, French culture, nothing that French people experience. All you can tell me is the city of love when I tried the food and I went to the Eiffel Tower. I don't want to hear that junk, nigga. I ain't moved by that, man. I mentioned that because they told me he went to South Africa and zip lined. Nigga, you can zip line anywhere. But I mentioned that because when I heard this young man talk, this man say I ain't been in no other city like Jacksonville. So that told me right then that whatever he saw here, it shocked his sensibilities. Secondly, the time period that he said that this happened for him is the time period I've told y'all previously is the most pivotal time period in a young person's life. And that's from the 6th to the 8th grade. Because that's when they hit puberty. That's when they're trying to figure out who they are. And that's when they have the higher chance of being impressionable because of their desire to fit into their peer group. And their desire to fit into their peer group can cause them to distort how they view themselves. And they have a higher likelihood to participate in reckless activity because I don't give a damn what nobody has to say. Because life tells us differently, human beings want to belong and they don't want to be ostracized from the group. Especially at that age when you're trying to figure yourself out while your hormones are changing. While you're going from a child to a prepubescent to a full adolescent.
Yeah, I think he said that was a time period where he lost his male influence.
And on top of that, so then you leave in a magnet school, because they keep saying a private school. It wasn't a private school, it's a magnet school. Those of you who from Jacksonville, y'all know what that is. And he wanted to be in the neighborhood school around the kids who he lived around. Well, the kids who he lived around were idiots. And he wasn't an idiot. But his desire to belong to the group opened up that part of himself that is clearly a homicidal psychopath. And that's how serious it is, man. You know what I'm saying?
All them life experience, all that traveling ain't mean nothing.
Because it don't mean nothing, because you're not ingratiating yourself in that culture. If you travel to a city and you saying, to another country and you saying, that means you're going to live amongst the people who are there. You're studying their history of that people. That means you're understanding their cultural way of living, their cultural way of thinking. What is their cultural religious system? What is their cultural political system? What is their cultural governmental system? Nigga don't even know the local councilman in the district they live in. Nigga don't know their state representative. Nigga don't even know their congressional representative, their state senator. The average person knows the president and their governor and maybe their mayor. You know what I'm saying? So when you sit back and you don't even understand these things in the locale that you live in, you think you cultured because you traveled somewhere? When you didn't ingratiate yourself in nothing other than spending money and having fun? Now, I'm not saying that to be rude or cantankerous. I'm saying that for obviously, man, for your brain to move or how you've been socialized a particular way and how you think like a child. Because you don't even have the masculine and feminine adult maturation process to understand what it means to be cultured. You don't even know what that means. You don't even know what that look like because you think having fun makes you cultured and that no level of discipline in a particular and specific art, institution, or discipline of any sort is going to actually allow you to be able to step into a room and be able to interact and relate to other people in the room. We used to clown about this all the time when we was young, man. I forget the movie. He was like, I'm a Renaissance man myself. You know what I'm saying? That's a cultured individual. You know what I'm saying? That means you study this, you study that, you understand this, you understand that. And you know what happens when you become a person like that? Said, people don't like to talk to you because you're intellectually superior to them. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Talk to me about a rapper, a singer. Sports is cool, but can you hold a conversation that actually allows for intellectual space, growth, maturation, or anything of the sort? Spiritual, if you will. Okay, it's great. My mama used to say that all the time. She said, you better make sure you know them grades like you know what's on the back of them baseball cards, boy. You know what I'm saying? We can remunerate stuff about sports. You can't remunerate nothing about the world around you, about the history of the world that's happened around you, man. What's going to happen to your offspring? They're going to be stupid too. And that's what we see in this life, man. Say, honestly, some of the dumbest people I know are well-traveled and financially destitute. My Lord. Peace, Brother Joseph. Come on, man. It's just something to consider, man. Say being well-versed in different things will take you very far. It will. And it just gives you, it unlocks things for your offspring. Because I'm telling you, man, they don't like black people to have the ability to think. That's why they hit you with, oh, you talk well. What you mean I talk well? You know what I'm saying? What you mean by that? See, we were talking about this the other day, right? Now, I may do this in regular conversation, but I don't do it as often when I'm doing this. You know, using filler words. Now, when I might say, you know what I'm talking about, that's just throwing certain stuff in there. I don't have to communicate like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't pause with the uhs and the ahs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got people who, they can't stand in front of people and communicate in a coherent and fluent and consistent fashion because they're not accustomed to doing it. And they're not accustomed to doing it because they don't have the confidence to do it because they don't read that well and their vocabulary is limited. So people be embarrassed. And through that embarrassment, it leads to the lack of desire to want to actually elevate yourself to where I can properly communicate myself. I can put together coherent sentences. I can actually speak like a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can mix the environment where I'm from with my intellectual capabilities. So when I was younger, people used to thought I was being funny. Like, no, nigga, I read. That's how I talk. I'm not talking to impress you. Are you using words that nobody knows? I'll never forget it, boy. I said it, I forgot, I think it was Asinine Langston was like, y'all, nah, man, you ain't finna leave me behind like that. I'm finna go read the dictionary. I need to see what that means. You ain't finna leave me behind like that. But I wasn't doing that to do that. It's just how I talk, cuz. Cause I read, nigga. Niggas need to read, man. Cut that goddamn TV off. Open a book, my nigga. God damn, you ain't even got to buy a book no more. You can get PDFs, you can get Kindles, you can do all that. It's cheaper. You on your phone anyway. How you on your phone? You ain't read a book on that hoe. You know how many books I got on my phone, man? I got at least 100 of them on there. At least 100. Come on. Say that's the main thing I tell the next generation of men, especially. Oh yeah. Hold on. Say my mom and old friends have told me you must expose your children to different things such as culture and restaurants, that they may know how to conduct themselves in public. Let me tell you something, man. Exposing your children to a restaurant don't mean a damn thing. Exposing the different kids, that all I know is where to go spend some money to eat a different style of food. You know what I'm saying? We got to expose them to things that stimulate their brain and their spirit. So when it comes to the works, you got to expose them to godliness. You got to expose them to righteousness. But when it comes to life, for intellectual capacity, they have to be exposed to things that are outside of their comfort zone. We can't be looking to have fun all the time. This is why other races of people surpass you. This is why them white folks worry about them Asian churn, them Chinese churn, because they don't bring their churn up like that. See, we be like, you got to let a child be a child. They're like, no, we praying them to be an adult because we trying to win. We ain't got time for all that. Y'all having fun and you stupid. They ain't having fun, but they beating you. So then you got to ask yourself, what's more important? You had fun, but you dumb. Hope the fun was worth it. Now, of course, you want to balance it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that to weigh and consider. Because in general, our people don't like education of any sort unless it leads to some type of monetary remuneration. That's the only time you care about some education. Most people are not self-educated or what would be called an autodidact. You know what I'm saying? Where you're self-taught because you don't even have a desire to learn anything. And we don't have a desire to learn anything because we live in a society and culture that consistently and constantly promotes entertainment, leisure, and fun. And you leave this world unremarkable, unaccomplished, and unintelligent. And that's how they want it. See, I've always been extremely well-spoken and articulate, but public speaking causes me so much anxiety, like stage fright. It's like that when that's different, because some people do get a lot of anxiety about stuff. You know what I'm saying? Say no real focus or direction. Yeah, Chronicles of Judah used to say most of these other nations, leaders, politicians, and governors are trained up from childhood. Shoot, and he was right. And you know how I learned that, Civic? Reading books. This is how I learned that, I see how wealthy people raise their children. I told you that before. Wealthy people don't let their children pick what they're going to do. They pick it for them. And they train them for it from the day that they were born. They pick it for them. That's why I told you people like, Dwayne going to play football? No. He going to play basketball? No. What sport he going to play? Not now. Not now. I will not allow you to regulate my son's capabilities of manhood to athletic performance. If he wants to participate in athletic endeavors for recreation, that's fine. But you talking about like steering him to athletics? Absolutely not. My son is not body parts for your entertainment. He has a brain. And he's going to use it. And it's going to be cultivated. And it will not be cultivated to entertain you, to watch him run, jump, hop, and skip. Straight like that. And that ain't got no shot at nobody who because everybody know I watch sports, but no, my son is not an athlete. He is not here for your entertainment. He has a mind. And I know exactly what he gonna use it for. And it ain't to play basketball. And it ain't to play football. And it ain't to play baseball. Even if we wasn't in the word, that's not what his mind is for. Because I refuse for any Caucasian or simple-minded man to regulate my son to simply being someone's athletic exhibition. And we as black men, you got to stop allowing these people to diminish you to that's all that you are. Because then you won't even allow yourself to cultivate yourself intellectually, mentally, or spiritually to be anything other. Because every time we have a son, that's the first thing a nigga want to do is put a goddamn ball in his hand instead of put a book in his hand. Give my son no goddamn football. Give him 3 books. And I ain't talking about no books on no doggone fantasy stuff, man. Give him something. Look at, man, we ain't even got no Frederick Douglass type people around here no more, man. They ain't even got minds that even strong and that capable. We don't even have people as intellectually dexterous as Malcolm X used to just skip around them people mentally, man. They couldn't even do nothing with him. They couldn't do nothing with him. He could outthink these people with no problem. All we want to do is go damage our body for white man's entertainment and profit. Never be like, nah. You can be more than that, son. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Because that's the only way that we could really see anything where our manhood could be quantifiably measured was through athletics, because they stunted your manhood in every other area. So you think the only way that you can exhibit that you really a man and strong is by playing sports, because nobody ever told you you mentally stronger than them. The people not smarter than you. They tricked you into believing you were intellectually inferior. Them people not smarter than you. They more cunning than you. They more wicked than you. But they're not smarter than you. Because you can outthink them. But if I blunt your mind and keep you thinking about XYZ, I'm going to always beat you. Come on, Zabo, what we have here?
Yeah, just read Proverbs 1:20.
Keep on going. Proverbs 1:20. I'm sorry, y'all, man. I ain't mean to get off track. That junk really irritated me. I ain't going to say irritated, honestly. That junk really troubled my spirit, man. Like, my God, today. That's bad, bro. 8th grade is bad. It's bad.
Say, wisdom cry out without. She utter her voice in the streets. She cry in the chief place of concourse and the openings of the gates in the city. She utter her words, saying, How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning. Fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I'll pour out my ruach unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called and you refused. I stretched out my hand and no man regarded.
You didn't regard.
But you have set at nothing all my counsel, would none of my reproof. Also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear come. When your fear comes desolation.
That's good, man. And then after that, he say, when you don't listen, when stuff bad happen to you, I'm going to laugh at you and I'm going to mock you, because then you're going to want to call on me then. But when I was calling for you to be my assembly, you didn't want to listen. Now, we look at this from Exodus 31 with Bezalel and the Lord had. You know what I'm saying? The individual was tasked with rearing the tabernacle and actually making the vessels in the tabernacle. So let's come back to Ephesians 2, whatever verse we started at. Hold on. When I was playing basketball in high school, my mom saw that I had skills, and she told me, girl, you better keep dribbling that ball so you can get money for college. Oh, that's not about being out of order, because this is just the perspective that I hold. Some people play sports because that's their only way out of their circumstance. You know what I'm saying? Some people play sports because that's what they grew up doing and they have a love for it. So I'm not talking, there's nothing out of order about it. What I'm talking about is the mentality of, specifically with black men. When a man has a son and people see you with your son, the first thing they ask is, what sport is he going to play? In general. This is, unfortunately, it's stereotypical, but as civic know, and most of you men know, it happens more often than we would like to acknowledge. And it's not that our people are necessarily wrong with it. That's a part of socialization and social engineering. You've been socially engineered to believe that a black child's automatic worth and value is on somebody's athletic field. Say chess. That's all. And when you respond back with, nah, my son ain't playing sports, people taken back from that. because we just assume that that's what every man wants to do with his son. Some men want to do that with their son because they genuinely love sports. They played it and they want their son to participate. Some do it because they want to live vicariously through their son, hoping their son can have the success that they never had. Some do it because their sons knew that their daddy played and they want to be like their daddy and follow in their footsteps. That's what Mama Steph just said. They say, yeah, like not STEM, not chess, not spelling bees, not debates, not anything that challenges your mind. You know what I'm saying? But why are we like that? Because we don't live in neighborhoods, in social circles where the challenging of the mind is just as important, if not more important, than the challenging of the body. So because as Mom Steph just mentioned and Omar just mentioned, most of us didn't grow up and you weren't exposed to people who were in STEM. You weren't exposed to people who were in chess. You weren't exposed to a debate team. You weren't exposed to classical music. Most of you get in the band and you do that. You're not exposed to these things. So when you're not exposed to these things, you're not exposed to a reading club. So you don't get the opportunity and chance to be mentally challenged. So then, therefore, we don't regard those things because that's not our reality. What do most of our people get involved in? Somebody hands them a football, a basketball, a glove, and a bat. You know what I'm saying? Say you glad you joined the chess team your high school senior year. My school ain't even had no chess team. Ain't had no debate team. Ain't had none of that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really just more so talking about the stereotypical things that occur. And anecdotally with certain people asking me like, oh, DJ gonna play? My son ain't playing nothing for nobody. Ever. It's not happening. You know what I'm saying? It's not happening. I'm gonna hand him a book before I hand him a ball. Like straight like that. Because that's not what he was born for. He wasn't cultivated and created to perform for other people's enjoyment. That's not what he's here for. You know what I'm saying? If I want to get him some structure and discipline, I hand him the weight ball when he's ready for it. You know what I'm saying? We get him into some type of martial art the way he can learn how to physically control his emotions and physically control his body to subdue outside threats. Because I don't want him to be physically violent for the sake of being physically violent. He needs to know that I'd be able to control himself. You know what I'm saying? Control his emotions and his anger. Knowing I have the ability to hurt you, but I won't. Because I won't let my feelings dictate how I respond, because I won't allow you to have power over me because you said or did something I didn't like. Because you that insignificant to me that I will never allow you to have power over me, that you can make me throw my life away. Because I'm mad. You triggered me. You a man. Care nothing about you being triggered. You better take your finger off of it and allow your God, your values, and your principles to dictate how you behave and not a feeling. We men. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that. Period, point blank. So yeah, academics represents the sure path of guarantee that parents desire pretty much. For sure. But that's just me. That's my perspective. You ain't got to hold that perspective. This is my perspective. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely personally believe that our people will be better off if we focused on challenging our offspring more intellectually and spiritually than challenging them physically. Because the text tell you, physical exercise profiteth little. You know what I'm saying? It has a gain to it, but it doesn't have a gain that these other disciplines do, mainly spiritual. You know what I'm saying? But you live in a natural world, so you need to have natural intellectual capabilities. We ain't one of them people be like, oh, you in the word, so you don't got to develop nothing else, because that's retarded. That's retarded. Don't make sense. Come on, Sister. We had Ephesians 2. Where you started?
We are verse 4.
Come on.
But Elohim, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, have quickened us together with the Mashiach.
By grace.
You are saved.
What up?
And have raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places.
And who?
In the Mashiach Yahushua.
That in ages
To come,
he might show
the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness toward us through Mashiach Yahushua.
For
by grace are you saved through faith,
and not
of yourselves. It is a gift of Elohim.
Not of what?
Works.
Lest any man
should boast.
For
we are his workmanship.
And who?
Mashiach Yahushua.
Under what?
Good works.
Which
Elohim had before ordained that we should walk in.
Given what workmanship means by definition, we can get the Hebrew word for it if we need to.
That is poema, that which has been made, a work of the works of Elohim as creator.
That which has been made. Don't Romans tell you how you got to be conformed to the image of the Son? You're going to be made in his image. Come back to Exodus 31:3. Give him the Hebrew word for workmanship, man. Man, let me tell y'all something, man. And you know why I be so adamant about the intellectual capabilities of your sons and why we have to cultivate them? Because once you put them in Mr. Charlie's school system, they're going to do everything possible to destroy his intellectual capacity and destroy his desire and want to learn and increase himself. It's a systematic approach. That's what they do. All of you should know it because all of us went through these people public school systems. You know the things that they do to try to discourage you from elevating mentally. So you have to do that. Because you behind enemy lines. You live in a society that wants anything and everything to make sure your son is destroyed. They say our boys are loving martial arts because it's not about fun at all. The instructor teaches self-control and talks to them about emotional discipline. The structure is very rigid and no nonsense, and boys need stuff like that. They got to have it. You know what I'm saying? It's extremely vital. I just watched a video of a lady saying, I had to stay in the house because, I wanted to intervene because her son can't get his bicycle up the steps. He doing all that screaming and hollering and all that extra stuff. He really doing that so his mama can hear him, so she can come out and do it for him. And the daddy like, man, I showed you how to do this, man. Woo, woo, woo. Didn't get all emotionally frazzled, didn't scream at him, didn't do nothing. Man, I told you what to do, just do it. Because when little boys don't have that no nonsense stuff, and you just let them do whatever and be emotional and this, that, that, and the third, or you come save him, that's going to be a weak man when he become an adult. He's going to be a weak man. He ain't going to be able to do nothing. He gonna fall out or throw a tantrum, hoping somebody going to save him. Me and Yoshi were talking about this the other day, too. Like, y'all already know that. I don't do that baby talk with them children, man. I'm not finna talk to them like that. I want him to have the ability to communicate. He ain't gonna be he ain't gonna be doing that. I ain't as anal retentive as I was in the past because I don't talk to my son like that. Don't talk to him like that. Talk to him like a man. Straight like that. Talk to him like he got some sense. But we don't look at it that way, man. Don't talk to my child like that, man. I can remember when y'all had mercy on the soul when Sean was alive, man. I think he was like about 5. I had just came home. They was like, man, you talking to him like a grown man. I mean, he gonna be one day, ain't he? Why wouldn't I talk to him? Why would I talk down to him versus him understanding I can talk to you at an adult level? This should make you want to push to expand your mental. I'm not gonna talk down to you because I gotta lower it down for you. I'm not dumbing nothing down for you. For what? Who told you should do that? Why you think we should do that? That's why niggas reading at an 8th grade level. Because we constantly dumbing yourself down. Go ahead.
Workmanship is Malachi. You got occupation, work.
Oh, y'all know that word. You ain't got to go. Y'all know the word Malachi. We didn't talk about it before. I want you to go to what this is, man. In Timothy. I don't even want to tell you the wrong spot you did. You can read in 1 Timothy 4:8 since I said it. I'm sorry, you can 4:6. That ain't what I wanted, but you can read that though. I gotta find what I want. I think it's 2 Timothy chapter 2. Go ahead, 1 Timothy 4:6.
If you put the brethren in remembrance of these things, you shall be a good minister of Yahushua HaMashiach, nourished up in the words of faith and of good doctrine, whereto you have attained. But refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise yourself rather unto godliness. For bodily exercise profit little, but godliness is profitable unto all things.
Unto all
having
things.
Promise of the life that now is.
Man, listen, and y'all know that because y'all know I enjoy lifting weights, but I know exercising myself in godliness is way more important than exercising myself physically. Way more important. And you have to start looking at that. That doesn't mean that you can't participate in certain things when you understand the level of priority where you got to slot them at. You know what I'm saying? I say we live in America, so, you know, athletics and entertainment have been slotted higher in the minds of the people. Like I said, we don't live in a neighborhood. When I say neighborhood, I'm talking about colloquially. You know what I'm saying? It's for socially, where intellectual capacity is promoted and celebrated. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about celebrating because you got AB honor roll, because that's not impressive to me, to be 100% honest with you. Not in this particular society, because y'all know the school curriculum. You know what I'm saying? It's a nice accomplishment, but that doesn't mean it's impressive. Because just because you can make good grades in these people's system don't mean you can think. Because I definitely went to school with people who got great grades and they couldn't think. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm basing that on. When I was in school with some of my peers, like, yeah, you got straight A's, but you can't think your way out of a paper bag. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know what the wildest part is? When you look at some of the most wildly successful people in this country, they're not college graduates. They didn't have the greatest grades because their intelligence couldn't be quantified by a school system or by a system of higher learning. Now, again, that doesn't denote or diminish the importance of excelling in an educational setting. But as we already know, I forget the white man name. Johnny, you remember that white man name who came up with the school system. You got to keep that in perspective. Who controls it? Who creates the curriculum? Who gave you the books? Who authorized the books? You know what I'm saying? Because if they authorized the book, that means they authorized what they put in it because that's what they wanted you to know. So there has to be the balance of, okay, you're making great grades here, but you have to have a desire for learning yourself. And if you don't have a desire for learning, your children won't have a desire for learning. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just learning for the sake of passing to the next grade. You have to have a desire for information. You know what I'm saying? I can't necessarily sit back and say, thinking back on it, that I seen my mama, auntie, or my granddaddy or my daddy reading a whole lot of stuff, but they definitely was like, yeah, you need to learn, boy. You need to read this. You need to do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't take nobody's word for nothing. Research it. They was real adamant about that. Where they capacity at with those things at, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But they were adamant about that on our end, though. You say you want both of your daughters to learn how to play chess? You're playing chess is cool. You know, these people, when I was in prison, people thought that I would be a chess master because of the way that I think. I was like, bro, I never played. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I looked at chess as how I looked at football. So it's for moving the pieces on the football field to be able to execute the thing. But I would get bored with it. Like I could only stay focused for a game. It'd be the same with Madden. I could play Madden, but after about 2-3 games, I'm done. You know, mentally, I don't want to focus on this in this capacity anymore. You know what I'm talking about? So you're gonna catch me down bad. That first couple games, I'm gonna give you, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna get this work. After that, yeah, I don't care anymore. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just for passing time and for my entertainment. You know, but I mean, it's the same with playing spades. If you look at playing spades, it gives you the ability to count. It gives you the ability for recollection. You know what I'm saying? It gives you the ability for anticipation. Go ahead, man. What I got said? I'm sorry, I didn't tell you the passage. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 19. I had it open on my page, but I ain't tell it to you.
Nevertheless, the foundation of Elohim stands sure, having this seal. The Lord know of them that are his. Let everyone that name the name of Hamashiach depart from iniquity.
Right.
But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and
That's what we want. In a great house, there's not only what?
Vessels of gold and of silver.
Now we're going to go back to looking at them vessels in the house, and then we're going to parse them out if you would.
But also of wood and of earth, some to honor, some to dishonor.
If a man
therefore purge himself from these,
he shall be
a vessel unto honor,
sanctified,
and meet for the master's
prepared,
use unto every good work.
What else?
Flee also youthful lust,
and what else?
But follow righteousness, faith, love, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart.
That's good, man. You got to make yourself vessels meet for the master's use. And I'm going to be back to Exodus 31, right? Boo, where you at, Boo? Come here. Oh, you must be trying to put it in the bed, ain't you? I'm gonna read these here. You get to pick the one we're gonna do first. You got the table, the candlestick, the altar of burnt offering, the laver, the anointing oil, the sweet incense, or the holy garments. I'll read that again because that was a lot. No. All right, Sylvia. And I had the table prepared. So look at the Lord. Amen. Come over here to Exodus 25 and 23, Sylvia.
You shall also make a table of shittim wood. 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. You shall overlay it with pure gold. Make thereto a crown of gold round about. You shall make unto it a border of a hand breadth round about. You shall make a golden crown to the border thereof round about. You shall make for it 4 rings of gold. Put the rings in the 4 corners, that on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be for places for the staves to bear the table.
I think we read this other day, but we're going to go on a deep dive in a moment. Go ahead.
You shall make the staves of shittim wood and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. You shall make the dishes thereof, spoons thereof, covers thereof, and bowls thereof to cover withal. Of pure gold shall you make them. You shall set upon the table shewbread before me always.
Now we read that there. That's leaking that bread. You know what I'm saying? As a chess player for 10 years, it's similar. I could believe it. Now we're going to read everything scripturally about that. It's going to be born for a second before we start doing the testimony. Exodus 31. Well, we already read that. We're going to read that. Exodus 35, man. Exodus 35 and 4. And this also gives us a chance to go back over certain things in the law, because you need to know where this stuff is at and why it's there, and not just skip over it. Go ahead.
Moses spake unto all the congregation of the children of Yasharal, saying, This is the thing which Yahuwah commanded, saying,
What he said?
Take you from among you an offering unto Yahuwah. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it, an offering of Yahuwah.
Tell him what willingly means, man.
Willing is nadib. Inclined, willing, noble, generous, incited.
Notice he said those who are inclined and disposed. This goes back to the other thing we were talking about, even like with Acts 2 and Acts 4, about having all things in common, and this, that, there, and the third, that you be so inclined. The reality is, when it comes to a lot of stuff for a lot of people in the word, people are not so inclined. That's where that Haggai 1 come in at, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Go ahead.
And say, let them bring it, an offer of Yahuwah, gold and silver and brass.
Blue,
purple and
scarlet. We talked about that last week, right?
Fine linen and goat's hair.
Ram skins,
dyed red,
badger skins,
shittim wood,
oil for the
light,
spices for the
anointing oil, and for the sweet.
And we're going to come back into that. If y'all remember, we talked about that apocryphy as it pertains to that perfume he made. Remember, he said this was a concoction that you couldn't replicate. And if you replicated, you died. But go ahead. Onyx
stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate.
Every wise
parted among you shall come and make all that Yahuwah hath commanded.
The tabernacle,
his tent, his covering, his taches, his boards, his bars, his pillars, and his sockets.
The ark,
and the staves thereof, with the mercy seat, and the veil of the covering.
The table,
and his staves, and all his vessels, and the shewbread.
The candlestick,
also for the light,
and his what?
And his furniture,
and his
lamps,
with the oil,
for the light,
and the incense,
altar,
and his
staves,
and the anointing,
oil,
and the sweet
incense,
hanging
for the door at the entering in of the tabernacle,
the altar
of burnt offering with his brazen grate, his staves, and all his vessels,
the hangings.
of the court, his pillars, their sockets, and the hanging for the door of the court,
the pins
of the tabernacle,
of the
court,
and their
cords,
the cloth
of service
to do what?
Service in the Kadash, garments
for Aaron
the priest,
and the garments
of his sons to minister in the priest's
Now
office.
listen, I think we did this previously, but we're going to do this. We're going to go through all this stuff so that you can see the framework. Read in Revelation 21 and 22. It's probably 24, but either way it goes. So that you can see that each individual person is representative of certain things that's in the house. I mentioned that because in verse 10, he said, every wise-hearted among you, come and make all that you have commanded. When we turn around and we read what Paul say, I a wise master builder, which is taking it back to what we read about Elohab and Bezalel, who they were wise-hearted in all manner of workmanship. This, you know what I'm saying? Now, when we look at it from the testimony aspect or the spiritual aspect, you know, those who are wise master builders are skilled in the better workmanship are able to craft you to be that tabernacle of the tent, that covering, those taches, those boards, those bars, those pillars, those sockets. You know what I'm saying? When you look at them sockets, those are things that are joined together. So that takes to certain things that we done read in 1 Corinthians 12. You know what I'm saying? All of these things that tie in together, how the people in the body are interconnected, are vessels of gold and silver who have purged themselves so they could be meat for the master's use. You understand? Revelation 21 and 22.
And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord Elohim Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it.
They the temple
and the city had no
That's good. They the temple. If they the temple of it, that means that the people are the things that are in the temple, which is why you see Paul using that imagery to Timothy. Read it again just in case they forgot. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 20. You can read 19 again just because.
Nevertheless, the foundation of Elohim stands sure, having this seal. The Lord know them that are his. Let everyone that name the name of a Mashiach depart from iniquity.
Let him do what?
Depart from iniquity.
What else?
But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, some to honor, some to dishonor.
Some to dishonor.
If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, meet for the master's use,
meet for the master's use.
Every good work. That
table got to be prepared in order to be used, and it has to be sanctified. Now we're going to look at when the tabernacle is finished. This is Exodus 39 and 32. And then we can read a few things in Exodus 40 about the assembling of the tabernacle. Now, of course, we mentioned that we were reading Matthew 16, and of course, with Bezalel and Elohab. I meant to reference Isaiah 28 when he say, you know, this is the chief cornerstone, a precious stone, a tried stone. You know what I'm saying? Peter is a stone built upon the cornerstone, which, remember, as Peter said, we are lively stones built up as a spiritual house. You understand? So all of these things are put together. And if we are lively stones, that means you have to be a wise builder on how to build that house. Talking about a cleaning service Instagram password might have been hacked. I don't give a damn. I don't give that whole no way. But we have to think about that. You feel what I'm saying? Are you a vessel's meat for the master's use? Have you purged yourself that you could be a vessel unto honor? Because you couldn't just use it. Any vessel that was used in the tabernacle had to be sanctified first. That's when people be like, God can use anybody. That's not how he operates. He just ain't randomly using anybody in that capacity. Because number one, they represent him, and then they got to be a vessel that he can actually use. You can't sit here and think that he gonna be done, made these men go through all these things about sanctifying and washing and doing all these things inside a tabernacle so that it can be used in service to him, but he ain't gonna do that with you. Oh, it don't matter what you do. God does. He said, you know, he doesn't qualify to call. No, come on with all that. Noah was a drunk and Jacob. Come on with all that, man. But they say all that because it's to actually divorce you from the fact that these were human beings. But when you sit back and look at it, Jacob wasn't a part of no ministry. Jacob served God, but he wasn't no part of no ministry. Do you know what I'm saying? Not that you can read, I should say. That doesn't mean that he wasn't. Let me clarify that. Not nothing that you can read in this book, anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say that there may not be books that state that he do X, Y, Z. Whether you accept those things in them books, that's another conversation. Because there are other books out here who speak to other things. You don't have to accept them. You don't have to reject them. What you have to do is see, do they line up with the witness that we have? I only mention that because we've been having that conversation about what is canon, why is it canon? You know what I'm saying? What books got accepted, why they got accepted, who picked for them to be accepted. Because you got all type of books out there. You know, you got the Gospel of Barnabas, you know, the Testament of Adam and Eve, you know what I'm saying? The Gospel of Thomas, all type of books. Do some people accept them books? Yeah, some do. The book of Enoch, you know what I'm saying? That's up to you, though. You know, I've always told you that I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't read. All I can tell you, does it line up with the principles of godliness that you see in these 66? I'm not finna argue with you if you believe, I don't believe they the canon. Okay, that's your business. That's your business. Oh, well, the reason why I've been focused on telling you this, especially considering that most people are not that, are barely functionally literate, man, you can't be getting upset and frustrated by people, man. These people don't know no better. They don't know no better. You got to sit back and look at it, man. You going to get mad at a 13-year-old for being a 13-year-old? What do you expect from them? Why are you expecting adult maturation and intellectual capacity from a 13-year-old? Because you shouldn't even expect that from your own 13-year-old. Why are you expecting a 13-year-old to have the mind of a 30-year-old? So then if you come across a 35-year-old and they got the mind of a 13-year-old, then you know what? I can't even blame you. The whole world failed you, man. I'm not going to let you get me upset. I'm not going to let you get me upset. You're not smart. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you're unintelligent. Is it your fault? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that's why you see so many adults throw so much emotional temper tantrums. You know what I'm saying? Do y'all realize with the advent of social media, you've been able to have the insight to all these grown adults who throw temper tantrums? Do you understand if you throwing a temper tantrum at this grown age, that clearly you are intellectually delayed? Sir, ma'am, you're throwing a tantrum to people on your phone who you don't know. Because you don't have the intellectual capacity to patiently and coherently express your point of view. Remember, children respond emotionally because they don't know how to properly communicate. That's something that a lot of us don't be really understanding. Your child is overly emotional because they don't have the ability to properly communicate. And you actually have to take the time to properly communicate with them, which means you can't descend to their level and get emotional with them. Because if you get emotional with them when they get emotional, it reinforces that I can communicate emotionally when I get upset or when I get frustrated or when I'm angry. Because that's what daddy do. So clearly this is what I'm supposed to do. Because they don't know. They ain't been here before. They don't know. So if they don't know how to properly communicate and nobody taught them, then you can understand why you be like, why this nigga act like that? Because he's 10. Though he's 35, he's 10. Is this what you expect from a 10-year-old? That's the world we live in, man. This is what people got to procreate with. And now that makes sense when people be like, if you ladies are so intelligent, how is you getting duped and played by a nigga who didn't graduate high school? Because you just as smart as him. You thought you were smarter than him because you matriculated your way through somebody's educational system. But in actuality and reality, y'all got the same level of intellectual capacity. And because somebody gave you a piece of paper and said you accomplished something, that signaled in your mind that I'm intellectually superior than him. When really both of y'all are elementary school playing in the sandbox. My God, today. Right now, I said, man, if I drink alcohol, I need me some Remy Martin or maybe something stronger because this is depressing. You know what I'm saying? I'm really not trying to be facetious at all. This is depressing. Because now it makes the whole world look different, especially taking information that I knew previously and seeing how dire of a situation this is. Because this is not a situation like, oh, women are bad, men are bad. We've been screwed. Royally. Ungreased, civic. They didn't even have no desire to lube it up. Man, somebody might have to bring me some cognac, man. God, this is ridiculous. Come on, civic, man. Exodus 39:13.
Say, thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished. The children of Yashua did according to all that Yahuwah commanded Moses.
Right.
They brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent, all his furniture, his taches, his boards, his bars.
Now, some of the stuff is going to be redundant. I don't care. Go ahead.
His pillars and his sockets, and the covering of ram skin dyed red, the covering of badger skin, the veil of the covering, the ark of the testimony, the staves thereof, and the mercy seat,
the table,
and all the vessels thereof, and the shewbread, the pure candlestick with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for light,
and the golden
altar, the anointing oil,
and the sweet
incense,
and the hanging
for the tabernacle door,
and the brazen
altar,
and the grate
of brass,
his staves,
all his vessels,
what else?
The laver in his foot,
the hanging
of the court,
and the pillars,
his sockets, and the hanging for the court gate,
his cords,
and his pins,
all the vessels
of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation.
Give them vessels by definition. Now, I want y'all to remember the tabernacle is finished. So what should be coming to mind? If don't nothing come to mind, I'm gonna go ahead and put that on the block before somebody answers. Hopefully somebody answers before that.
That is Kali, article.
Yeah, y'all know that's an article, that's an instrument. All the instruments of the vessels of the tabernacle of the congregation. And remember what he said about Paul. He's a what? A chosen clay unto me. This is a chosen instrument unto me. See, we were talking about this the other day, right? We were just talking about Paul being an apostle, this, that, damn, the third. And we get it in our mind that we get to tell God how he get to use the vessels that he chose. Because you feel like he should do it like that. That's a level of arrogance and pride. This is if you actually believe that there's a God in heaven, Yahuwah of hosts is his name, that sit on the throne with the sun at his right hand and the earth being his footstool. And he does as he please, and he declares to a man what his thought going to be. That's if you believe that. If you don't believe that, then what I said doesn't matter. But if you believe that, and when I say believe that you believe that that's a steadfast, reliable thing, and that he who spoke it is faithful and shall perform that which he has spoken, then you would know whatever vessel that he has purged and made clean, that is honorable in his sight, that man can use that vessel how he see fit according to his will. You don't get to tell him how he do stuff. Well, it don't make sense. It ain't supposed to make sense to you. Nigga, it ain't your organization. It's not supposed to make sense to you. Let me not say that. It do make sense when you know him. When you don't know him, it don't make sense. Because I mentioned that. I say, man, it's easy to see why Paul got chosen when you look at what's written. Because what was he doing? He said, man, how long you kick against the pricks? Not knowing, boy, you persecuting these people, boy. You locking these people up. You killing these people. But I know you don't know. So I'm going to spare you and I'm going to use you an example as he wrote to Timothy as a pattern of repentance. Because he said, I did it out of ignorance and unbelief. I didn't know. This wasn't something he did and he knew what he was doing. He didn't know. And that's why when you see the things that he suffered, why he was always locked up. Because how do we know that? I'm Yahuwah your Elohim. I forgive sin, iniquity, and transgression, but I by no means clears the guilty. So he forgave the man, but everything you did to them, because like I said in your law, whosoever dig a ditch for his brother, you going to fall into the same ditch you dig for him. You got people locked up, you going to jail. You got people killed, you going to get stoned. People going to want to kill you, and you're going to have to stand up here every day and pump this work. You're going to have to pump this work because you're a vessel that I chose for my esteem and my honor, that therefore my Abba might be honored. And we don't get to tell him how he gonna use him because you feel like, well, he didn't walk with him. There's nowhere in this book where he said the prerequisite for being an apostle is you had to walk with the Lord. You made that up. You assumed that. He never said that. He never insinuated it. You feel like he can't be an apostle. He didn't walk with him. Are you saying that the realm of his instruction ability is regulated to being here in the flesh and teaching the individual directly? So you mean to tell me that if he telling you I'm going to send the Ruach, which is the comforter in my name, and he going to bear witness of me, that he ain't got the ability to do that, boy? Is you cool, man? Is you serious? But you know why people feel that way? And we had this conversation also, because you don't understand what that man writing in them letters. And you don't understand what he's writing in them letters because you don't know the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. And as I've said before, and I say it again, as long as y'all keep growing in the faith and holding steadfast to the promises of Yahushua, man, and living a sanctified and set apart life, the understanding of this man's letters gets exponentially simpler as each day goes by. Because these letters are not complex, not by any stretch of the imagination, not to me anyway. You say, I've actually said the polar opposite in Mark. If they preach me, they're not against me. And that's a fact. And I didn't mention that when we was having that conversation. Somebody preaching the Lord and you think he against it? Because you reading letters and they don't make sense to you? Because he telling you, man, circumcision don't make you righteous with God. It don't. You know how we know that? Because Abraham was righteous before the circumcision. So it don't. He telling people not to keep the law. No, he don't. You seen law and you automatically went to commandments. That's your inability to understand what you read. And your inability to understand what you reading is based on the fact that you have an inability to believe, trust, hope, seek, serve, and love God, nigga. And when I say nigga, I mean that in the literal sense. You ignorant bastard. Not even nigga, you nagardly. That's what you is. That's your fault. Come on, man. Read 41. Exodus 39.
The cloths of service to do service in the Kadash garments for Aaron the priest, and his son's garments to minister in the priest's
according
to all that Yahuwah commanded Moses, so the children of Yashua made all the work.
And Moses did look
upon all the work, and behold, they had done as Yahuwah had commanded, even so had they done it, and Moses baruched them.
Now, I asked y'all this question. He said they done all the work, testimony-wise, because they ain't nobody answered yet. Where you going to go with that? The tabernacle is finished, and all the vessels in the tabernacle are finished. You got something for that, boo? Because Silvo's struggling. He's struggling like when you got the poop, and you can feel it at the base of your colon, but it just won't come out. You know them the worst poop. You would be correct, sir. Just to set this up for general principle, Book of John, chapter 2, verse 19. After that, what that is? John 18, or John 19 and 28. Come on, everybody.
Yahushua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I'll raise it up.
Go ahead.
And said to Yahudim, 46 years was this temple in building, and we rear it up in 3 days. But he spake of the temple of his body.
Pause. That's all we needed. He spake of the temple of his what?
Of his body.
John 19, 28.
After this, Yahushua, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now there was a set vessel full of vinegar. They filled a sponge with vinegar and put it upon hyssop and put it to his mouth. Yahshua therefore had received the vinegar. He said, "It is finished."
It is finished. Tabernacle finished. That means all the works and the vessels inside of it are finished. You understand? I know we had to go over this earlier because all this stuff highlighted in this book. So that means we had to deal with it at some point in time. When? I don't remember. You know what I'm saying? But clearly we did. Now, come over to Exodus 40. I'll expand on the things in it. I'm focusing on the table, but I want to hit everything that speaks about the table and the law. I told you I'll be redundant. Don't care. Go ahead.
Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, on the first day of the month shall you set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation.
What you going to do with it?
You shall put therein the ark of the testimony and cover the ark with the veil.
And you going to bring in what?
You shall bring in the table.
And do what?
Set in order the things are to be set in order upon it. You shall bring in the candlestick and light the lamps thereof.
Let's stop. Let's see set in order, man. We ain't going to read down with everything else in that. Just the table. We'll stop with just the table. Go ahead.
You want the definition?
Yep.
Order is a rock, to arrange, to set, or put, or lay in order.
You had Mark 13 in mind, Monte. What verse you talking about? Okay, we can look at it. Just let me know what verse you're talking about. So we talking about everything that's on that table needs to be arranged. Now we can drop down to verse 22 of Exodus chapter 40.
And he put the table in the tent of the congregation upon the side of the tabernacle northward without the veil.
So Paul, so the first thing we sit back and look at, the table, reading Mark 13 and 2, is on the other side of the veil. It's not in the inner place. You know what I'm saying? It's not in the Kadash place. It's in the Kadash, but not the Kadash place. Go ahead.
Saint Yahshua answering said unto him, see you these great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Now that's when he's talking to his disciples about the destruction of the temple. And that goes back to when we were talking about, there was a holy sanctuary when the first tabernacle stood, which was a foreshadowing to the one to come. And that's why those ordinances of those carnal ordinances and diverse washings are no longer imposed on you because the time of reformation has came. Now, that's an example of, if we talk to somebody and you see these things in these epistle letters, they're going to get upset. You telling people not to keep the law. Bro, you talking about washing, cuz. You talking about ordinances that none of you can keep because you don't have a temple, and you don't have a temple because this man never cared about that. You cared about that. So what do I mean by that? That's your Deuteronomy 6 and 25. You think you righteous for doing this, and you're not. Because you don't believe. You have, when I say believe, you have no Amath, no Aman, no Amuna, you have no Tikvah, you have no Batak, you have no confidence or hope at all in this man. Because you thought your Zadok or your justification came from you washing, came from you bringing a bull and a goat and a dove and a pit and a turtle dove and a pigeon, man. That's where you thought your righteousness came from. You never stopped and contemplated that your righteousness would come from your maker because you don't hope, love, or trust him. So why would you? Now, when we look at this table, you got to set in order the things in the table, which is without the veil. So when we look at the testimony wise, in this instance, Yahusha is that table, and everything on that table has to be set in order. That's why it's without the veil. You know what I'm talking about? What do we mean by that? That means before his crucifixion, before he said it is finished, when the earthquake came and the veil of the temple rent, that the way of the most Kadash was made open and plain, things had to be set in order first upon that table before he could go behind it. When I say he, the high priest, meaning Yahushua in this instance, could go behind that veil and make the way to that most Kadash place plain. Oh my God, today. They don't want to hear that shit. When I say that, I ain't talking about y'all. Verse 22, man, Exodus 40.
And he put the table in the tent of the congregation upon the side of the tabernacle northward without the veil.
And he set what?
The bread in order upon it before Yahuwah, as Yahuwah had commanded Moses.
So stop. So this is what's set in order on it. It's the leech or the bread. That's what's on that table, man. You understand? Come over here to Leviticus 24. Let's look at some more. So when we sit back and look at it, of course, the verses in John 6 and with his death should be coming to your mind with the bread. He's setting that in order on the table. That's what that represents. So now we're going to come and look at the shewbread. Leviticus 24:1.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, command the children of Yasharal that they bring unto you pure oil, olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually.
Now listen, we can talk about that. We're going to get to that with the lamps. Because if the oil been beaten for the lamps for them to burn, the ruach burn continually. It don't get extinguished. Like I told y'all, I mentioned this now ahead of time. Because it's just making me think about when a couple brothers I know had a debate about once saved, always saved. Get Psalms 23 and 5 for me for a moment. You can start at verse 1 though. Well, hold on. Let me get my thought back together. I had never really knew what the teaching of once saved, always saved. Like I've heard it said, but I didn't know the teaching. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't in the church, so how would I know? You know what I'm saying? But hearing it espoused from the positive and negative affirmation between the two interlocutors in this particular spiritual squabble, if you will. When I heard the gentleman who was of the affirmative that is once saved, always saved, and when I understood what he was communicating, I was like, oh, y'all don't communicate this properly. Because once you receive the Ruach HaKodesh, boy, you got it. Ain't no losing it. Because if you could quote unquote lose it, guess what that means, Sivy? No, you never had it. You never had it. There's absolutely no one who actually believe on Yahushua, as the scripture have said, and repent and have been immersed in his name and been filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. And you got this book telling you he that's born of Elohim do not commit sin. He cannot sin because he's born of God. That means he done received the Ruach. So you mean to tell me if the book say he born of God, he gonna lose it when it say he don't sin? When he telling you I'm gonna put my laws in your heart and in your inward part so you could do them? So I'm to my impossible. This man say God gonna dwell in you, and you gonna dwell in God. Because whoever keep my commandments, I will manifest myself, and me and my Abba gonna dwell in him. And you mean to tell me he gonna lose that? When clearly the word, at least in the Gospels, and even with the foreshadow, it's not speaking to that. But the reason why we would be like, oh, you can lose it, is because niggas wicked as hell, and they never had it. And you know how we know they never had it? Because most of us don't even know how to identify the characteristics of somebody who got it to know if they had it to lose in the first place. Because like I told you, even when we were talking about apostles the other day, nobody even knew what made you one. So how you going to know if somebody is one or ain't one to begin with? That's why we got to give thanks to Yahuwah, because he done allowed us to know from the law first what makes him. We know Adam was an apostle because Yahuwah taught him directly in Son and Forth. He taught Eve. We know that Moses was an apostle because he said, who made the tongue? I'll teach your mouth what to say. Who taught Moses? It wasn't no man. We can see that in the law. So when we see who taught Yahushua, it wasn't no man. He said, my Abba giving me an instruction, what I should say and what I should speak. They say, how this man write letters having never learned. So when we turn around and we see Paul say, hey man, I ain't get this gospel from flesh and blood. And we see Yahushua teaching them apostles that testimony after the resurrection. Well, we know how you is one. And guess what we know with Adam and Moses? They were sent. Yahuwah sent them. So we can see the framework from the law of that happening. So when we get in the Gospels and we see, at least with Paul's testimony, well, we know why he's an apostle. So we could be able to test you if you was an apostle, man. Where you learn that? And listen, man, it ain't gonna be where you learn that from. I'm gonna ask you certain things, see if you know them. Is this dude who came back Quab like that one time, man? That's how me and Quab got acquainted to be able to kick it at this particular time to this day. He was like, man, God teach me. I said, man, tell me what this mean in numbers, blood. He said, out of the eater came forth meat. He didn't know what it meant. See, what a lot of people want to do. You ain't no apostle. We ain't doing all that, blood. You supposed to know how to test him. So that means you're supposed to know what to ask him. And his response to your question to give you the answer to everything you need to know. And then you adjust accordingly. Y'all want to fight, argue, and this. I'm not doing all that. And when I'm telling you why I did this, this was 10 years ago. So this ain't something I just started doing. I just asked him a question. His response told me, man, God ain't talking to this boy. No, you don't even know what that means. You're supposed to know what that means. Let me get that passage for him, man. Hold on, y'all. I think it's Judges 14. My mind bad now. They ain't sharp as it used to be. I get brain fog a lot these days. It's 14 and 14 though. And he said unto them, out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness, and they could not in 3 days expound on the riddle. That's what I asked him, man. Tell me what that means, bud. What do you mean out of the eater came forth meat? But we know what that means. Praise be to Yahuwah. Because Yahushua say, take, eat this bread. This is my body. He said, my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. And out of the eater came forth meat, because out of him came forth his body, or came forth the word, because open your mouth wide and I shall fill it. And if you be filled with it, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, that they shall be filled. And that would be that oil that was beaten in your lamp that would light continually. It will never stop. I'll let you be a thing. Come on, sis. Verse 3, Leviticus 24.
Psalm 23.
Oh, yeah, Psalm 23 and 1. My bad.
He said, Yahuwah is my shepherd, I shall not want. He make me to lie down in green pastures. He lead me beside the still waters. He restore my soul. He lead me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yet though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Mm-hmm. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over.
Now, in this instance, of course, this is referring to that meal. That quote-unquote Last Supper with that table. But we're going to get to that, how that relates, where you could take that and applicable, because it's not applicable in fourth is the table, because that's not a table in the tabernacle that's sanctified. They're talking about the feast table. But we're going to get to something in Leviticus in a moment. He's going to read it. Leviticus 24 and 3. The way if you want to look at that table as that table is forth as a testimony and concern with Yahushua being in the tabernacle, we could. And let's go. Leviticus 24 and 3.
So without the veil of the testimony in the tabernacle of the congregation, shall Aaron order it from the evening unto the morning before Yahuwah continually.
It'll be a what?
A statute forever in your generation.
He shall order
the lamps upon the pure candlestick before Yahuwah continually.
And he gonna take what type of flour?
Fine flour.
And bake how many cakes?
12 cakes.
How many apostles was it out there at that table you just read in Psalm 23? How many young people was out?
12.
Okay, come on.
2/10 deals shall be in one cake. And you shall set them in two rows.
Set them in what?
2 rows.
6 and what?
On a row.
On the what?
Pure table before Yahuwah.
On the pure what?
Pure table before Yahuwah.
Tell them what pure mean now, man.
That is tahor, pure, clean.
What's Pilate said about this man? What did he do? What did he do? I don't see no fault in this man. What did this man do to you? I want you to come over here to 1 Kings chapter 7, man. I ain't gonna read all that. You can just get straight to verse 46.
In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them.
Now this is the temple. I want to be clear. Most of the things that we read in the law pertain to the tabernacle of the congregation, which is the tent while they were in the wilderness. Now, to be fair, everything that's in that pattern of the tabernacle of the congregation was put in the temple of Yahuwah. Now, what Solomon is dealing with is the actual temple. I ain't got my chain in here, but there's a picture of the temple on that chain. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead.
In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them in the clay ground between Succoth and Zarthan. And Solomon left all the vessels unweighed because they were exceeding many. Neither was the weight of the brass found out. Solomon made all the vessels unto the house of Yahuwah, the altar of gold, and the table of gold, whereupon the shewbread.
There it is. Upon the who?
Whereupon the shewbread.
That's right.
And the candlesticks of pure gold, 5 on the right side, 5 on the left, before the oracle, with the flowers and the lamps, and the tongues of gold.
And the bowls,
and the snuffers,
and the basins,
and the spoons, and the censers of pure gold, the hinges of gold, both for the doors of the inner house, the most Kadash, and for the doors of the house, to wit, of the temple. So was ended all the work that King Solomon made for the house of Yahuwah. Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated, even the silver, the gold, the vessels, and he put among the treasures of the house of Yahuwah.
Now, come back. Verse 6, Leviticus 24. One more time.
You shall set them in 2 rows, 6 on a row, upon a pure table before Yahuwah. You shall put pure frankincense upon each, that it may be on the bread for memorial, an offering made by fire.
So it be bread for what?
An offering made by fire for memorial.
What he said, man. This do in offerance of what? In remembrance of me. Now we could look at this table as representative of 6 rows of bread on each side of that table, as representative of each apostle who ate of that one piece of bread, which is Yahushua HaMashiach. Numbers chapter 3. Verse 27.
And of Kohath was the family of the Amorites, and the family of the Ziharites, and the family of the Hebronites, and the family of the Uzzielites. These are the families of the Kohathites. And the number of all the males from a month old and upward were 8,600, keeping the charge of the sanctuary. The families of the sons of Kohath shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle southward. Chief of the house of the father of the families of the Kohathites shall be Elizaphan and Uzziel, and their charge shall be the ark, the table, the candlestick, the altars, and the vessels of the sanctuary, wherewith they minister, and the hanging, and all the service thereof. And Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, shall be chief over the house, or chief over the Levites, and have oversight of them to keep the charge of the sanctuary.
That's good. Now, who had charge over this table?
Kohathites.
The Kohathites had charge over this table. Given Kohathites by definition, we come over here to number chapter 4.
That is, see, Kohath, that is assembly.
The gathering. People, if you would. Come over to Numbers 4 and 1. Talk about Kohath and more directly. Now, we've already hit the testimony wise of what the table represents, because you put the shewbread on the table, or the sanctified bread. Remember, each apostle represents the 12 tribes, which represents the body. Remember when they told you that he took, when the Levite from Bethlehem, Yehuda's concubine, when they cut her body up in 12 pieces and then sent her out throughout all the coast of Yasharal, the aspect of taking the body of Yahusha, representative of the 12 apostles, because they ate of his flesh and he sent his Ruach HaKadosh and sent him out. Tell the story. Tell the story. Give the witness. So when you look at this golden table with this sanctified bread on it, this also sit back and show you, when we look at David's testimony as it pertains to when they came for the shewbread, they said, do you have any? He said, I ain't got no common bread. I just got this sanctified bread. He said, man, at least you ain't came. He still gave it to him to show you that it ain't just for the priests, it's for everybody. That his body is for everybody. So then when you look at John 6 and he said, hey, man, my flesh is meat indeed. It gives you another connotation of stuff when you look at it in the law. Because this was a sanctified vessel made in the tabernacle, meat for the master's use. Yeah, man. Let Yahuwah be his thing. Numbers 4 and 1.
Yahuwah spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, take the sum of the sons of Kohath from among the sons of Levi after their families by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even unto 50 years old. Right. All that enter into the host to do the work in the tabernacle of the congregation.
It shall be the service
of the sons of Kohath and the tabernacle of the congregation.
About the most.
Kadash things.
When the camp set
forward, Aaron shall come.
And his
sons, they shall take down the covering veil and cover the ark of the testimony with it.
And they shall put thereon
the covering of badger skin.
And shall spread it
over a cloth wholly of blue,
and shall put in the staves
thereof,
and upon
the table of shewbread they shall spread a cloth of blue,
and put thereon
the dishes, the spoons, the bowls, and covers to cover withal, and the continual bread shall be thereon.
So notice, their job is to cover these things up as they move. You know what I'm talking about? Because again, we don't. Now, this doesn't pertain to Solomon's temple because there was no need for them to pick it up and move. But all these sanctified things had to be covered as they moved. Now, when you turn around and you sit back and look at it, he said, "Hey, man, don't tell nobody about what's going to happen to me." And that's what he told him in Matthew 16. Don't tell nobody, because as he was moving, all this stuff was covered by the veil. See, it take us. I don't think we went into. I don't think I know. I didn't go into Moses covered with the veil in detail as we should have. Didn't he say that? Hey, man, the veil is still on their hearts while Moses is read, because that sanctified bread was still covered until the time it was to be revealed, which was at that quote unquote Last Supper. Now we ain't got to put the cloth over the table as we move. We don't have to cover up these sanctified things. Now it's plain. Now it's plain. Now you can come eat off the table. But come on, Sylvia, we got one more place we need to go. 1 Chronicles 28. We're finna get off of here. It's 11:15. It'll be 28 and 12.
The pattern of all that he had by the Ruach and of the courts of the house of Yahuwah.
That's it.
All the chambers round about.
That's
the treasures of the house of Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
Now the treasuries of the dedicated things.
Well, read 11 then.
Then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch, and of the houses thereof, and of the treasuries thereof, and of the upper chambers thereof,
and the inner parlors
thereof,
and the place of
the mercy seat.
That's right.
And the pattern of all that he had by the Ruach of the courts of the house of Yahuwah, and of all the chambers round about, and the treasuries of the house of Elohim, and of the treasuries of the dedicated things. Also for the courses of the priests, the Levites, and for all the work of the service of the house of Yahuwah, and for all the vessels of service in the house of Yahuwah.
And he gave gold
by weight, for things of gold,
for all instruments,
of all manner of service.
All manner of what?
Service. That
takes us back to what we talk about in Romans 12 and 1 Corinthians 12, that you got instruments for all manner of service. Hold on, Sylvia. I'll just reiterate that. All manner of service. And I go back to some of the things I was talking about on Wednesday, man. And what is this all manner of service? Hold on, I got you. In Romans 12, having then, this is verse 6, verse 5. Matter of fact, 4. For we have, as this is Romans, the epistle to the Romans, chapter 12 and verse 4. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, many, are one body in the Mashiach, and every one members one of another, having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given unto us, whether prophecy according to the proportion of faith, or service on our service, or he that teach on teaching, he that exhort on exhortation, he that give with simplicity, he that rule with diligence, he that show mercy with cheerfulness. What does that tell us right there, Civic? There's all instruments for all manner of service, for all the instruments of silver by weight, for all instruments of every kind of service. Come on, the 1 Chronicles 28 and 15.
Say, even the weight for the candlestick of gold, for the lamps of gold by weight, for every candlestick, for the lamps thereof.
For the candlesticks
of silver by weight,
for the candlestick,
for the lamps thereof,
according to the use of every
candlestick,
and by the weight.
Gold for the tables of shewbread, for every table, silver for the tables of silver. Also pure gold for the flesh hooks and the bowls and the cups, and for the golden basins by weight for every basin. It's by weight for every basin.
I heard you earlier about the shewbread, but there's something else I can't hear for. Hold on. Say Moses in the veil. How is the mind blinded by reading the Old Testament law? I'm glad you asked that. Say we read them 2 Chronicles 3 and 11. Because that's a fair question, considering that I mentioned that and didn't give much context or detail after the fact.
And the wings of the cherubims were 20 cubits long, one wing of the one cherub 5 cubits, reaching to the...
No, 2 Corinthians 3 and 11. My bad. I don't know what I told you, but that's what we
said. That was 2 Chronicles. Say, for that which is done away was esteemed, much more that which remained is esteemed.
Right.
Saying then we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech.
Great plainness of speech.
And not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Yasharal could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished, but their minds are blinded. For until this day remain the same veil, untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Hamashiach.
So this is what that means, my G. So when you look at the original tabernacle that stood, the mercy seat or the Ark of the Covenant was behind the veil, which is the most Kadash place, and nobody could go in there. Now, consequently, what Paul is referencing here is Exodus 34. In Exodus 34, Moses is requested by Yahuwah to return back to the top of the mount and to make and fashion the 2 tables of stone like unto the first that he threw down in Exodus 32 when the people were down there worshiping the golden calf. In doing so, Yahuwah proclaims his name and proclaims that he's actually merciful and gracious and long-suffering and forgiving, which is effectively testimony-wise the tenets of what the New Testament is going to represent. And coming down from that, the people said Moses' face shone, which it doesn't have any witness of this ever happening before, which testimony-wise is a foreshadowing to the eternal life by the gift of the Ruach. You know what I'm saying? Because in him was light, and the light was the life of men. So he puts a veil over his face so the people can't see the light, because that light wasn't to be seen at that particular time, or as Paul put it in the epistle to the Galatians in about chapter 3 and verse 19, faith was shut up until the time for it was to be revealed. So once Yahushua has climbed up on that stake and said it is finished and gave up the Ruach, and then there was a mighty earthquake and the veil in the temple was rent, and now the way into the most Kadash is made plain. Now individual can actually come to the mercy seat for help in the time of need. Now there's no covering, there's no separation between you and your Elohim as it pertains to you coming to him directly for reconciliation through the chief high priest and shepherd, Yahushua HaMashiach. So at that particular time, when Yahushua was preached to these people, mainly what you can read in Acts 28, and Acts 18, and Acts chapter 2 with Peter, these people didn't receive the testimony that the text was testifying of Yahushua HaMashiach from Genesis to Malachi. So when Paul is stating, hey, the veil is still over their hearts when Moses is read, because if you believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? So therefore, they're blinded. They can't see, because Moses wasn't the one. That's why he got the veil on. You know what I'm saying? But now the one has arrived, and now it's been made plain. And even when the gospel is preached unto them, they cannot hear. So the veil remains over their heart until Hamashiach take it away. Read that verse for him again. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse what?
So 13.
Yes, sir.
Saying, not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Yasharal could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is.
So that means they couldn't see the purpose of that which was going to be removed. They couldn't see it. Go ahead.
But their minds were blinded, for until this day remain the same veil, taken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in the Mashiach. But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when they shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away.
When they turn to Yahushua HaMashiach, that veil will be taken away. Now they can see steadfastly to the end of that which was removed. You did? Prayerfully that made sense to you. Come on back to 1 Chronicles 28, verse 17.
Also pure gold for the flesh hooks and the bowls and the cups and for the golden basins by weight for every basin, and silver by weight for every basin of silver.
Mm-hmm.
For the altar of incense for fine gold by weight, the gold for the pattern of the chariot of the cherubims that spread out their wings and covered the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
All this Yahuwah made me understand in writing by his hand upon me.
By his what?
By his hand upon me.
Even
all the works of this pattern. David said to Solomon his son.
Stop. Now look at what David just said. What stand out in verse 19 to you?
Made him understand in writing by his hand upon me.
So this is what I need you to do. Tell him what writing means.
That is kathab, a writing, a document, an edict, a register, enrollment, a roll, a mode of writing, a character, a letter.
Now notice that means, so what's the writing that he calls them to understand? Clearly it's Exodus. From Exodus chapter 25 all the way to verse 40. Because if you didn't know, everything from Exodus 25 to 40 is dealing with everything that has to do with the tabernacle of the congregation and all the vessels and things that are be to put in it. Everything we read, whether it's 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, you know what I'm saying? But maybe not 32 and 33 and 34. You know what I'm saying? But 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. You know what I'm saying? Because Exodus 32 is the golden calf. So let me clarify that. Exodus 33 is when he said, I'm going to show Moses my back parts. I'll be merciful to who I'll be merciful unto. Exodus 34 is the story we just read where he proclaimed his name. Moses come down from the mount, face shining. After that, he get right back to it. Get right back to it. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at, especially with the new covenant being shown testimony-wise in Exodus 34, because everything in that tabernacle, let me put it this way. Exodus 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 is dealing with these are the things that's supposed to go in it, and this is how they're supposed to be made. And 35 to 40, as we just seen, the 39 is all these things are made and they're done. And 40 is the rearing or the lifting up of the tabernacle, which will be representative of him resurrecting from the dead. And we're going to get to all that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get to all that. If the Lord be so inclined. So when you see that, David said he calls me to understand the writing. So he calls him to understand this from the book. Because people tell you they ain't had no Bible back then. You lying to me. Because he telling you I understood from the writing by his hand upon me. What does that show us again? Flesh and blood haven't revealed this unto you, but my Father which is in heaven. Because remember, he said he opened the scriptures that they might understand the scriptures. That means God opened David understanding for this. Because he said to even all the works of this pattern. Because who was that pattern given to? It wasn't given to David. That pattern was given to the Levites and Moses for them to execute. Now you got a man from the tribe of Judah who has this understanding. Oh my God, today. That's another thing. We're going to come back to all this. We need to get off here, man. It's 11:24. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua, man. Oh, programming note also, Pentecost, May 31st. We usually start at 1 this year based off of how things set up. Y'all willing, man, it's going to be 2:30. It's going to be later in the day. We ain't got nothing to do with that. That's what time the facilities will be available for us to use. So it is what it is. Nevertheless, for those who are here locally, man, doors open at 11:30. Y'all willing, man, we will start streaming sometime after high noon. So it would be best to prayerfully to be there at 11:30 or shortly thereafter, so that we start streaming at 12, so we can pray. Children can go where they need to go, and we can get the rocking and rolling, man. Because we're in a central location, I can do this here now plainly. If you're in Jacksonville, Florida, in the surrounding areas, man, we be at 938 Union Street East. That's where we be at. You know what I'm talking about? That's if you want to tap in, man. This ain't peace, Brother Joseph, man. This ain't on no come join with us. He said, speaking of golden calves, did you see Trump's gold statue? I did not. I have to Google that. If you don't want to pull up, shoot, that's fine too. They gonna make me don't never mind. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man, we definitely trying to, you know what I'm saying, tap in and link up and whatever the case may be. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? Amen. Love you too, my G. So again, I appreciate y'all. Bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Just remember, man, as long as we in that facility, man, we won't be starting no later than 12:30. So I know everybody been accustomed with 2:30, 3 o'clock. Prayerfully, those days have concluded themselves. You did? So, yeah, it'll be no later than 12:30, man. It'll be starting by noon, man. You know what I'm saying? Yahuwah Baruch me get started, get the rocking and rolling. So just make sure you keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? And y'all willing, to the next time.